So, good evening and welcome to another episode of Wrestling Show. Been a while since we had one of these due to various reasons. So, let's see. With us tonight, we have Mr. Jason Stewart in first. How are you tonight, Jason?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good, Rich. Thanks for the invite, man.
Yep. And next, the show's technically the show's co-host, but for some reason StreamYard doesn't like him, so it doesn't let him have the co-host abilities. Is Kingpin? How are you tonight?
Yo,
That's not an answer.
yo is a very, very diverse word.
Is that right? So, is it just me, or is MJF the best heel currently in professional wrestling?
Your TV's a little bit loud.
Okay, hold on.
Sorry.
Who'd you say, MJF?
Yes,
Yeah.
MJF. Maxwell Jacob Freeman.
Well, I would say if you're going to judge a heel on somebody, you'd have to say that you didn't like. He's very unlikable.
Yeah, he does a good job of being unlikable.
Did he do something lately here that was.
Oh, yeah, yeah, you could say that. Let's see, what was it? 2 weeks ago that he just completely went off on the crowd during the commercial break. Kingpin seen it. I mean, it was just he was just going crazy, telling the crowd off. And then when they came back from the break, because they did the thing where he makes his entrance and then they go to commercial break, and then when they came back, he did his promo in the ring. Where I watch AEW, they really don't have commercial breaks, right? So they show what's going on if there's anything worth showing during what a commercial break would be. Because where I watch, I watch a feed where they record the Fight TV feed, which is from the UK, and man, he just tore into the crowd. and when they came, and when they came back, he just tore into them again. Started doing the "I'm better than you and you know it" thing, and the crowd says that with him, and he's like, "Quiet! This isn't sing along with MJF." It was just, yeah, that was. Then you had what was it? Was it 3 weeks ago, Kingpin, where he did the one where he was talking about his junior prom?
Yeah. That was like Valentine's Day area.
Yeah, and he was so believable in what he was saying. We talked about this a little last week. I don't know if you were here yet, but there were people that actually called the Nassau County, Long Island, New York Sheriff's Department to ask if there was any record of the event that he was talking about having happened. So many people called to the point where they had to put out a press release saying there was no record of that ever happening.
Oh, so he's just like a total dick.
Uh huh.
Well, the story was he got in a car accident and he was all drunk while he was driving, speeding and stuff, having a girl, sitting next to him. And he crashed the car and both of them were knocked unconscious and he came to before she did. So he put her body, she ended up dying. She put her dead body behind the steering wheel so he wouldn't get a DWI.
And don't forget, he said he did this as the sheriff's department cars were closing in because he said he could see the car's lights in the distance. Which anybody who actually would have stopped and thought about that for 5 seconds would have realized there's no way that if he's just coming to and he sees the sheriff's lights in the car that he's going to have any time to move her body into the driver's seat and then get into the passenger seat in this condition.
Well, and cops aren't stupid. You know,
Yeah,
they'll investigate and be like, wait a second, this doesn't look right.
yeah, exactly. I mean, any professional investigator who's had any kind of training whatsoever is going to take one look at that accident scene and be like, no, this isn't an accident scene anymore. This is a crime scene.
Well, also, it's wrestling, it's make believe,
Mm-hmm.
it's television,
Yeah, I
and
know.
he's not. The dude's a very very successful young athlete. I don't think he's going to admit to multiple felonies on live television.
Uh huh. Oh, and the best part is in the comment section of, I think it was Codeaholic, people were excusing him, saying that the statute of limitations had
Limitations on his microphone expired.
yeah. Well, no, I had to mute it because my wife was saying something. But here's the thing, right? At that point, when he moved the body over, there's two felonies that he has now committed, which means,
Well, on top of the felony of killing someone,
yeah, that's what I'm getting to. Hold on. You got the felony of vehicular homicide, and the second felony is altering a crime scene, right? So you know what that second felony does to the first felony? That elevates it to first degree murder. There is no
Hey,
statute of limitations on first degree murder.
hey, man, all I did, man, I didn't say any of that. I didn't admit to any of that. I put her in the driver's seat to check on her, see if she was okay. And when they asked me what I was and stuff, I told them I was too drunk to drive. And they put two and two together, not me.
The problem is in the promo he specifically states that her head hit the windshield.
It bounced off the steering wheel first.
And he also stated that she was in the passenger seat. if
After the accident, she was,
Yeah,
yes.
but he completely incriminated himself. If that would have actually happened, he would have incriminated himself to first degree murder charges.
Well, he can't remember so good. He bumped his head,
Uh-huh.
and he's drunk.
I like the crowd enjoys being like. There's a couple wrestlers right now on all the different TV shows that cuss out the crowd, and they love it, man. They really love it.
Mm-hmm.
Like last night, uh, something cool I saw. Rey Mysterio was wrestling that Damian Cross guy, or Keenan Cross, or whatever his name is. And
Carrying cross.
right outside the ring, on one of the corners, there was a little kid with a Rey Mysterio mask on, and he picked up Rey Mysterio and did the big backbreaker right in front of the kid, and then
Mm-hmm.
grilled the kid and like, Arr! And I was like, man, that's probably that kid's gonna remember that for the rest of his life, man. He was front row seat to see, a move done, and the wrestler reacted to him. The bad guy was grilling, and it must have been really fun.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the heel's job. That's what they're getting paid the money to do.
Yeah, and the fact that the dude picked up on it, like he looked right at the kid and then picked
Mm-hmm.
Rey Mysterio up and crashed him over his knee and then stared at the kid like he was going to come over and do it to him too. I don't like that. I can never remember her name. Who's the girl that's been fighting with Becky Lynch?
Oh, Bailey.
Bailey, yeah. I can't stand. She's one of my least favorite. But one thing
Mm-hmm.
that she does that I enjoy is when she comes out to the ring, she always grabs somebody's poster and rips it in half. Like
Mm-hmm.
she'll snatch a poster from a little kid and rip it in half.
Crazy part is she used to be the biggest baby face in the women's division, and when she turned heel, she went whole hog on it. The best part is when she was a baby face, she had this handicap girl that always come to the arenas especially when she was in NXT and would dress like her and stuff. And they had her turn heel right in front of her. You could see she was crying legitimate tears when it happened.
Well, that's something I was thinking about too. Kevin Owens talked about it the other day when he was talking to Sami Zayn, but Sami Zayn's family, a bunch of people have their little children in the front row and then get their face busted open with a chair 15 times. And I'm like, I
Mm-hmm.
wonder how, like, you're sitting down with your 7 year old, 5 year old, 6 year old little kid, and you're going to explain, daddy's an actor and this is for TV and it's all pretend, but
Uh,
daddy's gonna get and then bad man's gonna come yell at mommy. I
yeah.
wonder how that works.
What was that documentary they made years ago where they were talking about when Mick Foley went through the Hell in a Cell, and they were talking about his kids being there to see it, and his kids thought that his daddy was dead.
Well, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
I think 60,000 people in the arena thought the same thing.
Oh, his kids were like just crying their eyes out. He said he got backstage and his wife and kids were there, and the hardest thing he remembers from the business was just standing there and looking at his kids and the way they were crying. He's like, I can't do that to these kids anymore. I don't think they ever went back to watch him wrestle until they got older. He was just so worried that it was going to traumatize him for life because of the way they reacted to that. And I can see his point there because that was what happened. It wasn't supposed to happen. That was an accident, and it could have killed him.
Is that when his tooth came out his nose?
Yeah, broke his hip, I think, or dislocated his hip, something along those lines. I mean, he was all kinds of messed up after that match.
That next WWE History Channel television show you said you were watching, Jason. The next one's going to be on Jake the Snake, apparently.
Oh yeah, I have to catch that one. I think it was on Sunday nights. Yeah.
Yeah, it's on Sundays. At what, 8?
Um, what time did you do your show last week?
We started at 8:30 on the Sunday
Yeah,
show.
yeah, it probably came on at 8 or maybe 7.
So you guys still haven't answered the question: is MJF the best heel right now?
Oh, I answered it. I said yeah. If
Um,
if if he's the guy that makes you hate him, then he's doing a
yeah.
good job.
Oh yeah, Kingpin. What do you think?
I like him. So it's hard for me to see him as the heel.
Now you've been watching AEW. In the vein that Jason said about heels making it where you don't like them, do you think the Guns are probably the second best, at least heels in AEW
I hate the
behind it?
see, but see, I don't call them. It's hard for me to call them heels. Well, no, yeah, they fit the category as heels, and I really don't like them, and it makes me aggravated that they're the champions.
So take that as a yes, because they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do, make you
Leave the
hate them.
Guns, man. I hate those guys.
I mean, they keep beating up their dad. I mean, it's just like,
MJF, I don't think he's a heel.
oh, he's a heel.
Uh,
He's a Ric Flair style heel, man. The dude is a heel.
yeah, I guess. Is he the best right now? It's hard to not say yes because his rhetoric is really good. He knows how to talk. He's real fluent. He doesn't stutter and stammer a lot. Uh, if he's making the stuff up off the top of his head, then that's pretty brilliant too. The best part about it, I think, is that the crowd really enjoys getting screwed by him. Like every time he comes out and gives them the finger, they love it. And
Mm-hmm.
then if you'll notice, every once in a while, there's a few people in the crowd wearing the scarf, and
Oh
they
yeah.
those people absolutely fall out when he's cussing the crowd out.
Well, yeah. I mean, but it's to use keep up with the Ric Flair analogy. Look at the Four Horsemen. You had the same thing. The Four Horsemen were no doubt heels. But everywhere they went in the South, you had people throwing up those four fingers. Hey, Buck.
But
Hey, how's everybody doing? And the four horsemen were the best. Can't do nothing without them.
Well, you got to have a good heel or heel team, or else who are the baby faces going to triumph against?
And I think the four horsemen were better with Gene and Ole Anderson than all them
Gene
other
wasn't
guys
in the
they had to
Horsemen.
do.
Gene
Gene
wasn't in
won?
the
I got
Horse. No, the original Four Horsemen lineup was Ole, Arn, Tully, and Flair.
okay. Well, Gene was there though, right? Or did he?
No, Gene was working behind the scenes at that point.
Oh,
You might be thinking the Minnesota Wrecking Crew.
yeah, I might be.
you wanna we've been talking about MJF and basically kind of like floating around heels. But we should ask the question: do you think that MJF is the best bad guy in the business right now?
Speaking of him, I watched him in a couple of videos today, and he looked pretty damn nasty. So I think, yeah, I think he would make a good heel.
Yeah, that's the
I
thing. A
think
lot of
he's
guys,
top.
to your point, Buck, a lot of guys, they go on these podcasts and everything, and they drop character. MJF doesn't. He's old school in that regard. He does not drop character when he goes on one of these podcasts. So you don't know when he's being truthful and giving a shoot answer to a question or when he's giving a work answer in character. You don't know because the guy doesn't drop character.
And that's the best way to be, in my opinion.
I think Ric Flair talked about that, when he said that Ric Flair isn't a character, Ric Flair is me, and when you think back to the way he talked and like how he bragged and all that kind of stuff, that's a lot of dudes talk like that. A lot of dudes act like that. But then
Mm-hmm.
you look over to like a Road Warriors, the way Hawk and Animal talk. If we were in, if we were sitting around playing cards and one of you guys were like, "We're gonna go and really kick some butt," we'd be like, "Man, you're weird. Shut up." But if you were like, "Man, I'm gonna go out and style and profile and show people what's up," they'd be
Mm-hmm.
like, "Yeah, man, go ahead, woo."
I think the most extreme case of somebody being in character of all time is Nikita Koloff. The guy is from Minnesota. He went out there and got a coach to teach him how to do a Russian accent, learned to speak fluent Russian just to play a character in wrestling. And he would not drop characters from the time he walked out his front door till he walked back in the front door of his house. It didn't matter where he was going.
CIA
I,
acid.
I, I can go ahead and vouch for that because I seen him at a convenience store. Him, Ric Flair, Ox Baker, all of them, and he was still talking like the Russian dude. They want to know, hey, how you
I'm
doing?
telling you, the government plants don't. That's how they roll.
Hey, barbecue.
Hey, how much have I missed?
We were just talking
We're
about whether MJF
just about
is
ready
the
to close
best.
up.
No, we were talking about whether we think MJF is the best heel currently in wrestling.
Currently? Ooh, hmm. With getting heat the way he's supposed to, I think there's a very strong case to be made, but technically Roman Reigns is a heel.
Yes, I know. I was.
But he's got the Stone Cold tweener thing going.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if we're talking about getting heat for like legitimately, I think it probably would have to be MJF.
Yeah, you bring up a good point because I was going to say if MJF is the top heel currently in wrestling, is Roman number two?
Grayson Waller.
Never heard of her.
He's an NXT guy.
I know I was being a smartass. I've heard of him,
Okay.
but I haven't seen any of his work, so I can't comment. By the way, I don't know if we're going to be going over the homework that Kingpin sent out to us the other day, but I was late doing mine. That's why I got here and I emailed it to Kingpin. So
Yeah, we're gonna do that, but I just threw the question out there to get because there's always guys that show up late, so I was giving you guys
yep.
time to get in here. So I just threw the question out there for the panel. But
Say, is Roman number 2?
All right. Before we get started, for the people like Squib and stuff like that listen to this later on, please feel free to be quite loquacious. Sorry, in your answers. It means gab on and like give some answers, details to your answers. Feel free.
Let's say, what dictionary did you go and find to pull that one out?
he got the word of the month calendar.
Yeah, he's got the calendar, man. Today is February 25th.
There's a phrase that we learned in like second or third grade, and it was something to do with loquaciousness. And no, yeah, it was, your loquaciousness is impeding my learning process. Because some teacher made a
Nice.
mistake of teaching us that, and we put that sentence together. So for my entire schooling career, me and like 4 or 5 other kids would say, "Your loquaciousness is impeding my learning process."
That's great.
All right, you ready, Rich? Do you want to do this? What, or is it we
Well,
going? Or
I'm
what?
still waiting for everybody to answer the second part of the
Uh,
question.
Everybody said yes, and
I
everybody
have
said, "We're
I have
Roman."
trouble marking Roman as a true heel though at this point. I mean, people with what was going on with the bloodline, people were eating it up, and they weren't out there booing them or anything like that. But that draws another parallel to, I shouldn't say a parallel, but draws the problem with professional wrestling today. And it's not so much the wrestling, but fans are so smart to the product that stuff they're supposed to boo, they cheer, and stuff that they should be cheering, they boo. Um,
Well, Roman was definitely getting booed in Montreal.
It,
Oh, I'm
it,
sure, but
it's a
I mean, if
crazy,
it
mixed
wasn't
up
for
world.
the Sami Zayn or for the swerve, I shouldn't even call it a swerve. Everybody knew it was coming. But the fallout with Sami Zayn and everything, that'd still be the same thing. Now, I guess technically, I guess we could say that Roman's back on heel track at this point because of them losing Sami, the way everything's going down. Um, but I mean, heck, it's only what, been 3 weeks, a month at this point, really?
Yeah, it started at the Rumble where they really put him back on the heel track.
Yeah. So I mean, yes, technically, yeah, he's back on that track. So yeah, I'll throw Roman number 2. Um, I'm trying to make sense what's going on with Lashley and Lesnar. You got Lashley who,
Nothing apparently at this point.
but I was going to say you got Lashley who appears to have gone heel again. You got Lesnar who then should be the babyface in that feud, and he's just friggin' destroying referees. That's a heel move. Makes no sense to me.
Well,
But everybody loved it.
yeah. Oh yeah,
Well,
everybody.
and again, that's part of the issue that I just spoke on. Like, people should be, just infuriated with him. You know, people should be saying to hang his kids and all kinds of sick crap. You know, because like that's the ultimate sin to you know assault a referee, especially so blatantly.
But
And
that's
then
Brock Lesnar, and that's been his
yes,
story, his whole career. He's the loose cannon, I guess you could call him.
yes,
Man,
but again, that's all heel, but people cheer it, and there's it's everything's upside down in the wrestling universe anymore.
And I don't know if you guys heard, but so far, what's penciled in for WrestleMania, it's going to be Lashley versus Bray Wyatt and Lesnar taking on Omos.
Yeah, that's why I thought when you said that was
What?
happening. Yeah, the Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar thing is already split up.
But why are you having both Lesnar and Wyatt take on Omos?
No, not
And
Lesnar and Lash. Not Lesnar and
Bobby Lashley's going to wrestle the Firefly guy,
yeah, Wyatt.
Okay.
and then
I missed the part about Lashley.
yeah,
But
Because I was thinking, why the hell are they putting those two together? But that makes more sense now because I had heard something about Lashley taking on Wyatt, which
yeah, because Wyatt challenged the winner of the
that's
Lashley and
right.
Lesnar match, and technically, since Lashley won,
Yeah,
even though it was by disqualification after getting kicked in the nards. But here's an interesting scenario to this that we've talked about before. Who manages Omos right now?
MVP.
MVP, isn't it?
Uh huh. Who managed Bobby Lashley in the Hurt Business?
Ron Simmons. Damn.
No, it was MVP.
I know.
If rumors are true and they're wanting to put the Hurt Business back together, who better to soften Brock Lesnar up in storyline for Lashley than Omos?
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
What faction that could be?
I got a little something for you guys to think about. We can talk about it tonight, right away, later, whatever. But there's two topics. One, does anybody else feel like Sami Zayn deserved to get punched in his face? Because the whole bloodline thing to me was Sami just punking out for Roman Reigns.
Mm-hmm.
Two, it seems to me like Rey Mysterio is going to have to punch this kid to Dominic in the mouth, or the people are going to start booing him.
Well,
How much longer can Rey Mysterio not beat the crap out of Dominic?
well, that's another match that they supposedly have set for WrestleMania is Ray taking on Dominic. Along with Edge taking on Finn Balor.
Anybody else got any other round robin stuff you want to get into before we go through the lists?
uh, I'll go with what you were saying. I agree. Rey Mysterio's got to do something. Uh, and yeah, I'm ready for that dude in Reigns to move on. I'm done with that story. That dude kind of doesn't really physically or personality fit with them other guys, and they doing all this friendship, and I won't hit him and all this and that crap. I'm kind of bored with that. I'd just rather see him move on to something else.
Yeah, worst part is you got people that want Sammy added into the main event with Roman and Cody. No, 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 no.
No.
No, he had his great big night, one of the best nights in history for him. Let's move on.
What they should do, if they're going to do anything with Sammy and the Bloodline continuing on, him and KO and Cody form an anti-Bloodline stable. Just out of necessity, because the Bloodline keeps beating the shit out of the three of them. Cody goes on, takes on Roman at WrestleMania. Sammy and KO take on the Usos and win the tag titles. And then they can start a Bloodline turning on each other storyline from that point forward.
KO is not going to help Sammy out.
Maybe, maybe not. They've known each other since they were kids.
I
Remember,
I,
they
I
still
think
got
Kevin Owens will.
they still got over a month to get those two on the same page on that front. They've done things like this before.
Yeah,
Something's going to happen that's going to push KO to where he has no choice but to help Sammy. Remember, I did say reluctantly form a stable out of necessity with Cody to take on the Bloodline, because somebody's got to watch their backs, and they're the only ones that can do it.
Real quick breaking news from the world of anything that's cool and awesome. Krabby Turtle has joined the show.
Evening,
Oh my
Krabby.
god! Oh, I thought he was on the panel.
He has been on the panel in the past. He does have a link if he does want to jump in.
Yeah, you got sent homework too there, Krabby.
Come on in, Krabby.
We don't have any seafood forks here, I promise.
Yeah. I didn't find out about the homework till tonight. I don't know if you caught that or not, Barbecue, because I never got the email.
I figured most of people, like, if you two know wrestling like the back of your hand, I figured, Krabby, again, knows wrestling like me, Buck, and Jason would just think about it and then just have stuff to talk about. Or you guys would probably just come up with a lot of stuff off the top of your head, where I already thought about, a guy like Braun Breaker and what I'm going to say and different stuff like that. So it's all right, class. You don't have to turn in any actual reports.
Well, Barbecue already did.
Good.
Well,
My
he gets,
printer is broken.
again, he gets bonus points.
Oh, I should get more than bonus points. Wait until you see everything that I put in that email there, Kingpin.
Will do.
All right, so if we want to do this, it's your show, Kingpin. You're the one that sent out what everybody's got to do. I have no idea what it is because I didn't get the email.
Pick one of the categories
Give
and
me,
give our answer.
just for a second here. Barbecue.
What's up?
This is an actual book report.
I know, right?
Man, this is amazing. Holy smokes, dude. Like, he did not take that like as anything. He took it serious as can be, man. He's got a long list and it's all broke down into different categories. Good grief, man. Nice job.
Yeah, man. I thought the email said if you can't make the show, email me a list and you'd read it off.
Barbecue doesn't always come, so sometimes Krabby's doing one of the other gun chats. Or,
I figured I'd just email mine just in case I had to bounce out earlier. I did something stupid like, fall asleep while we're live on air.
Or break your phone on there.
Buck
Yeah.
one
Oh, man.
Jason.
Still not happy about that.
Did you get that sorted, or?
No, it's just a little crack on the screen, but it's enough that the screen flickers now, and I've got a line running across it. So I'm just going to milk it for as long as I can.
Yeah, you guys might not notice, but last night we're in the middle of Gary's show, and all of a sudden Barbecue jumps out. Snob said something about you breaking your phone. I thought he was joking.
Nope.
In the after chat, I finally see the private chat. And it's like, oh, he really did break his phone.
Yep.
That sucks, man. Sorry.
It's like right over on the edge of the screen. It just fell off my dresser. Ended up bumping it while I was moving stuff around, and I picked it up, and there's the line. I was like, frick.
Yeah, they're funny about that, man. I've had plenty of phones take the god awfulest tumble from heights and bang and everything. You pick them up and they're just fine. And then you got one that falls like off the couch, 1 foot to the floor, and it busts it all to hell.
Yep. It's just like, dang it. But yeah, I think I did my all these lists that I gave have a 1 through 5. Now the 1 through 5s aren't necessarily that order. But then there's also an honorable mention on each one. But I did I think my all-time favorites. I did favorite baby faces, favorite heels, favorite announcers, favorite uh, managers. I did favorite female wrestlers, favorite tag teams, favorite factions.
Well, what I'm probably going to do is just go down the list of the stuff that you got. And then, if you
To
guys
make
think
everybody else follow the lead.
yeah, and just
I like
whatever,
it.
we'll just go based on the stuff you sent me. And then if something's not in there and you guys are like, oh, yeah, we missed this thing, then we'll talk about that too.
Sounds good.
All right, well, let's go ahead. Right now, his first thing is favorite singles wrestler of all time. And this is for the men's division. And we'll go ahead and start with Buck. Buck, what do you think for? And like I said, I don't know if you guys heard earlier, my uh, classification for all time is stuff that you remember from when you were younger. What I mean by modern day is if you turn the television on right now, who is on the TV right now? And if they both are the same, like Sting, if you want to put Sting in classic, even though he still wrestles, then you're free to do that. Like, Rich will probably yell at you for a bunch of stuff, but nobody else is going to yell at you.
No, Sting's still wrestling, man. I'll give you that. You can put him on there. If you want to put Bubba Ray Dudley, who's still wrestling under the Bully Ray name, go right ahead because he's still out there doing it.
All
Oh
right,
my
but
gosh. Should have done a spot of favorite drugged out active wrestlers. Jeff Hardy, #1.
Oh,
All
speaking
right,
of
sorry.
Jeff,
Chris Benoit.
did you see the sentence he got?
No.
38 days in jail, which time
And he had
served for
30.
that. Yeah, time
Oh,
served for that. 10 years suspended license. The guy
yeah,
could be doing
that's right.
5 years in the pen. He gets 38 days time served and a 10-year suspended license.
I bet you his ass is broke now.
His fine wasn't that bad.
Uber.
Mm-mm. Yeah, it was what? Like, I think he had $5,000 fine.
I was gonna say I thought it was like $5,000.
Yeah. And he has to do what? Like a counseling or something along those lines, too? Which he was already
Yeah,
supposed
drug
to
and
be doing,
alcohol.
according to Matt. So.
He's been to rehab so many times, it's not even funny. It's kind of like,
Oh,
honestly.
and he has to go to driver's ed, which I don't see the point when he can't have his license for 10 years.
Yeah, I hate to say this. I don't know if the guy's going to live to see another 10 years. And it's not like, oh, something bad's going to happen, like he's going to off himself, or just with his substance abuse. I mean, his liver's got to be fucking shot. But then again, I mean, look at how long Scott Hall made it. I mean, hell, the only thing that took out Scott Hall was friggin' blood clot.
Mm-hmm.
So.
all right, Buck, it's your floor. So we're going to start with favorite wrestler, singles male of all time. And you can have a whole bunch of them. You don't have to just name one.
I'm gonna say of all time, I'm gonna have to say Junkyard Dog.
That's
He
a good
was a
one.
monster back
Oh,
in the
hell
day.
yeah, that's a great one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I used to love. I mean, I used to sit there every Saturday watching him. I could watch his matches all week long. I like it when he come out there and have that chain wrapped around his neck. Then he gets up, starts barking at him and headbutt him. I just think that was the coolest thing back in the day.
I liked his finishing move was when he jumped off the top rope with the headbutt, right?
Yeah. Oh, he had a whole bunch of hard heads that he hit on, and I just think he was awesome. And
Yeah,
another one I liked was Rowdy Piper. That son of
yeah.
a bitch, boy.
Going back to
That's just
Junkyard
crazy.
Dog, there was a match between him and Haku where they just kept headbutting each other and couldn't hurt each other. Their heads were so hard they just kept headbutting each other.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing that one.
What was Roddy Piper's finishing move?
Sleeper hold.
Right, yeah. I like the Piper's Pit.
Yeah, they had a lot of good entertainment on that.
That's where Andre turned heel on Hogan. Was on Piper's Pit.
I think, I think the hot rod was much better, much more entertaining behind the microphone than he was actually wrestling. I just loved Rowdy Piper for the talkings or the beating somebody up and throwing them through the little fake wall of the Piper's Pit or something like that. But I just liked it more in that than the actual in the ring. You know what I mean?
Depends on
Yeah,
what era with Piper you're talking though. WWE, yeah, I can see it all together. What you're saying, but man, go back and find the old footage of him when he was feuding with Greg the Hammer Valentine over the U.S. title in the NWA.
I
Good
remember that.
God, they put on some banger of like dog collar matches and stuff where both guys were just beating the holy hell out of each other.
Oh yeah, he's a tough son of a bitch. But the thing about Rowdy, like he was so good behind the mic, especially when he get really riled up and talking real fast, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then he like
And
kicks
then
you
you
or
can't
something,
understand it.
punches you. Yeah, yeah. He was classic, classic. Never be another Rowdy Piper or anybody to even try to imitate that.
he always reminded me of John Ritter.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Think about it, they kind of look like brothers. You want to name any more, Buck, or and feel free, like if you guys want to name one and move on to somebody else, if you want to list off a bunch. I mean, however you feel like doing it's fine.
Um, and another one I used to like back in the day was Black Jack Mulligan.
Up. Yeah.
I loved the claw. Just seeing people, I mean, about 6 foot tall, almost 7 foot tall, just take them on straight down to the ground. I thought that was awesome. I tried that shit with an apple one time, and yeah, it didn't work out like I planned.
Yeah. Blackjack had some other members of his family who were pretty damn successful too.
Yeah,
You know, Barry
Barry
Windham.
Windham, man.
Yeah, it's his son,
Yeah, didn't he have another son?
Kendall. He wasn't as good as Barry. And Mike Rotunda's his son-in-law, and Bray Wyatt's his grandson.
Yeah,
Blackjack
All right,
Mulligan.
I didn't
Kendall
know
was
that.
Kendall was a great big tall like lanky fella, man.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so was Barry. I mean, Barry wasn't
Oh
the
yeah,
biggest
but
guy.
Barry had meat on him compared to
Yeah.
yeah.
Blackjack Mulligan was scary.
Mm-hmm.
All them wrestlers back in the day there was scary. Man,
Oh,
who else
Krabby throws
back in the
out
day?
Dr. D. David Schultz.
Huh.
That's the guy that beat up John Stossel when Stossel said wrestling was fake. He went off on him and like had him pinned up against the wall.
We'll let Jason go through a couple, and then I'll read Krabby's list.
All right. Uh I guess I just could go with feelings, and when I start out when I was younger, I guess your favorite guy is I was saying earlier, it's the guy that you feel bad if he loses, but it's like also the guy like remember the show would come on and like you knew they were gonna talk to this guy and they're gonna wait till like end of the show, the hour long show for his promo, and you just wait for that. You know what I mean? That kind of proves that was your favorite guy, your guy. You know what I mean? They captured your attention waiting on it, man, and like your favorite wrestler as a kid was kind of like your hero. You know what I mean? He never let you down. So like when I was the young, this is gonna be a superstar. Like everybody else was kind of victim to being really young, and it's got to be Hulk Hogan. You know, uh, like you never seen him lose a match, and like you just everybody rooted for Hogan as a little kid. But then as I got a little bit older, a real favorite came ahead, and I'm gonna judge it as my favorite is if the two wrestled together. Who would you feel bad if they lost? But as I got a little older, the guy that just kind of like when he came on the scene, just like I was like, whoa, you know what I mean? And you'll agree with me on this one. It's the Macho Man, Randy Savage.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. You know what I mean? He was. There was excitement and pumped up in the room, when the Macho Man was just even doing a interview, a promo, or whatever you want to call it. So, from my young age to beginning older age, it turned into the Macho Man. And then later, when I got a little older than that, my top guy, and he's got to be a guy that of all times, you just got to respect, that I really liked from the bottom of the heart, and was a good wrestler, a good, clean wrestler, in professional, everything, and it's Bret the Hitman Hart. In the early 90s there, he was like the man. And I kind of drifted away from wrestling a little bit, and then when Nitro and WCW and everybody came out, it was awful fun to watch Goldberg.
Mm-hmm.
It really was. I had good times with the women in my life watching wrestling, and those times where you could watch, we were watching because of the two networks. You could watch like 3 or 4 times a week. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And that was some times, good times that we had in common together. But like, who didn't? Like the whole room just got up when Goldberg was coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
What, he won like 250 times in a row or some shit. You know what I mean? I mean,
the guy
he came
just had
out.
a presence. He just
came
had a
out,
presence to him, man.
Yeah, Goldberg, screw this long match. We've watched every kind of match they've thrown at us for the whole show, from long drawn out wrestling holds to high flying. But when that started and Goldberg come running out, it was just going to be an ass whooping here in about 30 seconds. He's going to beat up everybody that's standing out there in the ring, and the crowd's going to go wild. You know what I mean? You just felt like you were part of it. You could hell yeah, in your living room with Goldberg. So those was some good times. And the more modern guys, like the very modern guys today, I really don't have any favorite. But the guys from the late 90s and going into the 2000s, like The Rock, Stone Cold, guys like that, they all are kind of tied. You know what I mean? They're all kind of tied in there. Really don't have a favorite or anything. But out of all time, the very uppers got to be the Macho Man and Bret Hart. And honorable mention, which should be at the top, is Ric Flair. To be the man, you got to beat the man. And when he said it, he's like, meant it, But thing about Ric Flair is he is great. He's on there, but there's just been so many other wrestlers since him. You know what I mean? There's dozens of superstars and 50 other guys out there, and in his prime and in his time, there was only a few superstars, and he was the top dog.
Yeah.
So he's my honorable mention.
Yeah. To your point about Goldberg, when Goldberg took on Hogan on Nitro for the first time and beat him for the world title, the crowd's yelling 1, 2, 3 as after he hits the jackhammer. I'm sitting in my living room yelling 1, 2, 3 along with the crowd. I mean, that was Goldberg. There was just something about Goldberg at that time period because he was something that
Yeah,
hadn't been seen. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. Like seriously, man. Like in my household, uh, it'd be my old lady, her dad, stepmom, probably her little sisters there, and like me and Gene, we're probably into the TV a little more in the matches. You know what I mean? But like when Goldberg comes out, like the kids on the floor, everybody's glued to that TV. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
woo, woo. Like I said, it wasn't like you had to wait on the action. He come out there and if there was five, NWOs, the four life shit standing there, he come out there, he's gonna whip all of you in like 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm. If you blinked, you missed it.
Let me roll through Krabby's list real quick. He started off, he said Jimmy Superfly Snuka, Ronnie Hands of Stone Garvin, one of my favorites. I like Jimmy Snuka too. Jake the Snake. He said he liked Blackjack. He mentioned the Masked Superstar, and then you already mentioned David Schultz. Talked about Andre the Giant, Georgia Championship Wrestling. Says Goldberg is good. He mentioned Ricky Steamboat and Kerry Von Erich. No, a lot of
Now
people
I got
hold Kerry Von Erich up there.
hey Rich, maybe you can answer this. That the masked superstar, wasn't that Tim Wood?
Yeah, I believe so.
That's what I remember too. I was getting ready to mention him as an honorable one too, but I forgot about him.
I'm gonna say Kerry Von Erich. That is pulling one out of the hat. Good old Texas tornado.
Oh,
Say and
if,
man, Jake the Snake. I didn't even think about putting him on my heel list. Like, dang it.
yeah, but if you guys want to watch a good short documentary on the Von Erich family, Cultaholic put one up last week. It's really good. It's about a half hour long. Get a chance, check that out.
Go ahead, barbecue.
What's that?
It's your turn, man. The mic is yours.
Oh crap! I don't remember what the hell I put on my list. I remember I had Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage. The Undertaker was on there, and I don't care what the hell decade you want to pull him out of. Undertaker's the Undertaker. He was amazing his entire career. Um,
The Rock.
oh yeah, The Rock. I think Stone Cold was on there, and I'm trying to remember who my honorable mention was.
Shame.
Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah, shame on you, but Dolph Ziggler.
Oh,
Oh no,
Ziggler is
What the
really
hell?
good.
let's say his booking atrocious. You look at his body of work, just like him going in the ring, incredible.
Yeah, they can slot Ziggler in any spot and he can make it work.
Well, I guess that's better than goddamn the Miz.
Oh, Ziggler's heads and tails above the Miz. The thing the Miz got going for him is he doesn't get hurt.
Yeah, bitch don't wrestle no more, does he?
Occasionally.
He gets beat up a lot, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Do you want to expound at all on your list, barbecue, or are you ready to move on?
Yeah, I could expand on that if people are wanting. I mean, Hulk Hogan and Macho Man. I mean, heck, that just harkens back to my childhood there. As well do well the entire top five. Um, Dolph Ziggler came in my mid to late teenage years, I reckon, right in that ballpark. So, but Hogan and Macho Man. I mean, you're talking we small barbecue. I mean, heck, I remember. I think my mother said I might have been 3 or 4, and she had got me tickets that way I could go see wrestling, and you know, like any kid that at that time, pure Hulkamaniac. You're talking 93, 94. Hogan is, Hogan. Um, and I still remember going nuts. His music hits, friggin', there's the Hulkster. But I mean, not just the Hulkster. I mean, there's so much. I remember friggin' another one that I really enjoyed back in the day that didn't make any of my lists was Tatanka, and his music hit, and I'm friggin' doing his little friggin' rain dance stomp thing in the friggin' seat and everything. Yeah, all those harken back to my childhood. So
Krabby's also out there saying he has to give it up for Kurt Angle too.
yes, yes.
All right, Rich. Sounds like it's your turn there, man.
Well, I'm sure you can all figure out who number one is. I mean, we've talked about him enough
CM
on the
Punk.
channel.
Yep.
Yeah, no,
Vanilla Ice.
no. Look at my avatar, man. Come on.
Vince Russo. David
Kingpin.
Arquette.
Kingpin is your favorite wrestler. I knew it.
No, you're Mean Gene in that picture. No, it's got to be Macho Man number one.
Ooh, yeah.
100% understandable.
Number two, which made their match even better, Ricky Steamboat. Man, that guy, he doesn't get a lot of the credit that he should. I mean, everybody says that everybody admits that he was a good wrestler, but and everybody remembers him from WWF. But man, go back to when he was in the NWA before he went over there. Everybody thinks of the feud with him and Flair from the late '80s. Look at the feud that they had in the late '70s, early '80s. They were tearing it up all over the NWA back in the day.
Yeah, I remember Macho Man's feud with Ricky Steamboat. Uh, he had 3 or 4 good matches with him. That's where he won the Intercontinental title. And then
Oh
kept it
yeah, the two of them were.
forever, yeah. Ricky
Yeah.
had that title.
Who did Ricky win it off of?
Oh, I couldn't tell you. It'd have to be a guess.
Tito Santana.
Nope.
I didn't think that was right. I just finally remembered that guy's name.
Mike
No, there was
Rotunda.
there was a guy in between Tito and Steamboat. Another Hawaiian, in fact.
Not Jimmy Snuka.
No.
Tulsi Gabbard.
Don Morocco.
Dang, I haven't heard that name in so long.
What? Tulsi Gabbard's on the news all the time, Kingpin.
But let's see. Number 3, Arn Anderson.
You're picking Arn Anderson as a
Over-
solo?
Over Ric Flair, yes I am. Dude, his world television title reigns? Come on.
That man's spine buster alone.
Yeah, everybody thinks of Arn as a tag wrestler. Everybody forgets the run he had with the world TV title.
Uh-huh.
Psychologically,
That's
I think.
just...
Go ahead, Jay.
Oh, I was just going to pipe off that Arn wouldn't have been so good if Magnum TA knew how to drive a car.
Oh, damn.
Psychologically, I think what made Arn Anderson so good is the clean-shaved beard and those tinted glasses that he always wore. Those big frame, big window tinted glasses.
Yeah,
It just made him look like the kind of guy that if you beeped at him in traffic, he'd get out and rip your arms off.
yeah, and Arn just had this thing, and Ole had it too. They would, this is where Arn learned it. They would just look at the camera and tell you how it was, and you believed them.
Damn, I miss watching all them old shows.
Yeah, and number 4 is going to be a tie, and for similar reasons. Jake the Snake Roberts and Kevin Sullivan.
All right, I know where you're going with that. I like it.
Oh, the two of them were just so devious.
Yep. I actually almost put Kevin Sullivan on my heel list.
Yeah, and the two
Like I said,
of
how
them,
I didn't think of Jake is just beyond me. I'm disappointed in myself.
yeah, and you didn't hear either one of them yell very often either. They would
We're all disappointed in you too.
they would just look at the camera and just whisper and make everything they were saying sound so evil.
Remind me in a few minutes when Krabby comes back. He asked the question, was that Morocco's last belt? But then he also just took his dog outside, so he's not listening right now.
So yeah, I'll go with those 5 guys as the top. I mean,
Does anybody want to add any more? Did you think of any more that you wanted to talk about, Buck or Jason?
I was gonna do 2 honorable mentions to say Hogan and Flair definitely.
Well, I know you weren't done, but I want them to start thinking. Let me produce this show, please.
No,
Just be the on-site, be the star of the show.
You're the production manager, Rich. Know your role.
He's the one. He's the on-screen.
Jabroni.
Uh-huh.
I'm the Vince McMahon over here. I'm running. I'm pushing the button.
Is that how this is?
Kingpin is Eric Bischoff. You're David Arquette.
Yeah, not hardly.
So who are your honorable mentions?
Hogan and Flair.
Just because of who they are.
Yeah, just because of who they are.
Right.
I mean,
anybody else got any more before we moved on to a different topic or subject or whatever you want to call it?
Category.
Yeah.
Good job, Buck.
No, not right offhand.
All right, we're gonna go. Let's go. Let's just stick with the men's for. All right, men's tag team all time. And since I got it up, I'll read your list to you, Barbecue, and then you can either name people that's not on the list, or you can talk about your list. But you got the Mega Powers, the Brothers of Destruction, Team Hell No, Kane and X-Pac, the Dudley Boys, and then your honorable mention is the Bushwhackers and Natural Disasters. So I don't know who the Brothers of Destruction are, and I don't
Kane
know
and
who
Undertaker.
Team Hell No is. Then who's the Mega Powers?
Hogan and then Savage.
Okay.
And Team Hell No was Kane and Daniel Bryan.
All right. That's
so funny thing is, my top 5 tag teams here, 3 of them have Kane. Kane doesn't make my list anywhere else. And that's not to say Kane was a bad wrestler or anything. I mean, really overall enjoy Kane's body of work, especially in his early years when he was going after The Undertaker with Paul Bearer. Amazing stuff. That storyline, phenomenal. When him and The Undertaker pair up and form the Brothers of Destruction, my gosh, what a run. Then, I mean, they tore through the whole company, and then just because they felt like it, they did it again. Incredible. The Mega Powers, I mean, what needs said about them? It's the friggin' Mega Powers. It's 2 of the biggest names ever exist in the industry. And then to unite them, like, my gosh. I can't even say anything about them. They're just that friggin' amazing. Kane and X-Pac was very entertaining. They had Tori as their manager. This is when X-Pac's still in DX and everything, and I don't remember how exactly that pairing came up, but again, just it was an entertaining pairing. It's something that shouldn't go together like lamb and tuna fish.
Yeah,
Uh,
another team that would fit into that would be, and guess who's in it? Kane and RVD.
oh my god, I didn't even think about that. But holy shit, we could just make a list of friggin' tag teams that Kane's been in.
I know, right?
I didn't even think about that one. Son of a gun. So wow, Mr. Monday Night's not even one that I thought of. Period. So, natural disasters. That's just one of those nostalgic ones from the '90s. Uh, big dudes. What's his face? I can't ever remember his name, but did the Shockmaster gimmick that
Oh,
failed terribly in WCW.
Typhoon, formerly Tugboat.
Yes, Tugboat. And say, but again, big, massive guys. I actually think in what 91, Rich. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but weren't they getting managed by Andre then?
I don't think Andre ever did manager.
He was out there with them.
Weren't they managed by Jimmy Hart?
Yes. Jimmy Hart was a manager for him. I'm trying to remember why the hell Andre was out there.
Yeah, probably doing some deal with Heenan to go against Hogan and Ultimate Warrior at that point.
So, anyways, yeah, just great stuff there. The Bushwhackers, again, another childhood thing. They're these goofy G.I. Joe looking guys. They come out, just their arms bent in L shapes. One's going up, one's going down, and they're just flexing them opposite ways the whole way they're walking out. And yeah, just
oh man, those guys.
Good memories.
Those guys were even better outside of WWE when they were
sheep
herders, and they were one of the most vile, wicked, sadistic heel tag teams in professional wrestling.
Yep. I mean, you take them out of the WWE, and I mean, those guys could work. And I mean, because I think that's one problem that is with wrestling again today. People hear somebody can work, they think that it's just in ring. No, it's on the stick. It's all kinds of things. It's the whole gimmick that you've got. You got to work that whole thing. It's not just being able to go between the ropes, because if that's all you can do is go between the ropes, people appreciate that you can work in there, but you don't go far in the business because you can't do anything else.
One of the commercials, the Jake the Snake guy saying, "It doesn't matter if they like you or if they hate you, as long as they remember you."
Mm-hmm.
Who's next?
I'll keep my singles list kind of short for all time, and the Great Muta was really good.
Mm-hmm.
I always liked watching him, especially when him and Sting, like when he first came around.
Yeah.
My memory, anyway.
Yeah, Muta just retired. Muta just retired. Yeah. 60-some years old.
And then Sting. Sting is another one that was always one of my favorites when I was young. Hawk and Animal. I like Hawk as a singles wrestler, even though he didn't really wrestle singles too much.
No, but he did have some classics with Flair for the world title.
Yeah. And that's about it. So we'll move on. All right, Jason, what about your tag teams, man?
Well, for my tag teams, it's kind of short. To be honest, to me, the tag teams just play second fiddle in my heart. I just I think the better matches is one on one. Some big superstars, and sometimes that the tag matches just as a younger kid wasn't my favorite. You know what I mean? Just kind of wasn't. But my favorite tag team guys, it's got to be two of them. It's the Road Warriors and the Hart Foundation.
Good
and because
choices.
I look at the tag teams as like you guys started naming off combinations and how many. I in my mind when you say tag team, I think of guys that have been together for years. You know what I mean? So the
Yeah,
Road
well,
Warriors and the Hart Foundation are on the top.
we're
Uh,
we're purists, Jason. So you got to
yeah.
excuse these amateurs that we're hanging out with.
uh, if you move down, there was so many good teams, but uh, man, the Hart Foundation was just good to watch, man. You guys admit that they worked great together, man. And the Road Warriors was one of those groups that's just like the Dominators. You know, you expect them to win. You know,
Mm,
uh, but man, some other teams that came on the scene a little later and is kind of like got to give an honorable mention to the Hardy Boys, man. They sure were high flying when they come out, and right before Edge and Christian, to
mm-hmm.
me back in the day was a good tag team, right? And that's about it for me, man. I guess I could throw in as a young kid, like you guys talk about the heels and the faces and stuff now. Back as a little kid, you know, it's good guy, bad guys, and just to put it in guys you like and you don't like, you know what I mean? Two stand out. That I think they tag teamed. I'm pretty sure they tag teamed. So that's why I'm bringing them up in the tag team section here. The team I absolutely hated the worst it's got to be two wrestlers I absolutely hated the worst, and it's was it Captain Redneck Dick Murdoch
Mm,
and Adrian Adonis.
mm-hmm.
As a child, I didn't identify with any of those guys. You know what I mean? They like as when you're 10 years old, somebody that's 40, 50 years old might as well be 80, 90. You know what I mean? They was just like drunk old mean men. And Adrian Adonis, I don't know what he ground he was breaking 30 years early, but just those didn't relate to me at all. So those was the tag team that I could not stand. Uh, Not only because they'd be mean and nasty, like I said, he just didn't relate to them as a kid. They weren't your hero or superstar. So those two always stand out as I just hated. Just hated either one of those guys right there. I think there's somebody else that Dick Murdoch used to wrestle with tag for a while. He was a pretty mean, nasty dude too. And as a young kid, that was just the turn off, you know.
All right, we're gonna go to Rich White next. Rich, I gotta step away for a minute or two. If you want to answer Krabby's question about the Morocco's belt, also,
Yeah,
you could do that.
yeah,
But yes, Krabby, we're on tag teams now. So Rich White, it's your turn.
yeah. Okay, let's get to the question about Morocco's last bout. Yeah, I believe that was his last championship that he held. So there, what? So there's that question. Tag team. Tell him, Paul. It's got to be the Road Warriors. Number one. Number two. I'm gonna stick with Jason Hart Foundation.
Solid
Three.
choice.
Three. Midnight Express. Four. Arn and Tully. Five. The Minnesota Wrecking Crew. Throw any of the Andersons in there you want, but yeah, they got to be in there. Uh, Number five, the Outlaws. Dick Slater and Dusty Rhodes. Uh, Christ, there's so many damn tag teams I could go through. I was always a fan of tag team wrestling back in the day. The Rock and Roll Express. Um, Damn. Uh, the Russians. Any combination of the Russians, man, they were good. Um, Man, the Freebirds.
That's a good one. The Freebirds.
So many good tag teams back in the day. So,
Now the Rock and Roll Express, I like them. They would be in my like category. Uh, but you know the thing about them though, they just wasn't big and strong gym guys. You know what I mean? And
but that was the
even though,
point.
even though they had some great battles, you know what I mean. You just assume the Road Warriors are gonna kick their ass. You know, but those guys were good. They were good to watch.
More modern tag team, the Usos, got to be on the list. I mean, and that, I don't know if I would say they're the best tag team right now, but they're damn sure up there. And you mentioned Edge, Christian, and the Hardys. You can't mention Edge, Christian, and the Hardys and leave out the Dudley Boys.
Yep.
Uh,
Oh yeah, I'll give you that. Brothers from another mother.
yeah, the Steiner brothers. Yeah, I mean, do you know the story about the Dudleys, how they were brothers? And there was more than just Devon, Bubba, and Spike. Their
There's like
dad,
what, 8 of them?
yeah, their dad was a philanderer. He would go around and sleep with every woman he could find in the town they were supposed to be from. Get them all pregnant. That's why they all had different mamas.
Rich, I couldn't mention the Steiners just due to geographical locations between me and those kind of people.
I like lists like these because it gets people, like you mentioned the Freebirds, and then Jason mentioned the Adonis person, and and then you mentioned Krabby mentioned Don Morocco, and names that you just don't think about until somebody else says start moving through your head. Krabby mentioned the Steiner brothers, Rocky and Atlas, which is a very good tag team. That was one of my
Hmm.
favorites. Big fan of the Rock and Roll Express. Edge and Christian, never watched. I didn't watch wrestling during them. The Dudley Boys, I'm familiar with. The Wild Samoans, back when I was a kid, those were scary guys, but I liked
Uh huh.
watching them. And then the Fabulous Thunderbirds. My dad had
He meant the Freebirds,
a
but he said
probably
Thunderbirds.
20-foot long green 78 Thunderbird that I used to drive when I was in high school. It was awesome. And then he mentioned something called Freebird. I don't know what crap that is. Jurassic Powers. Krabby's kicking out some pretty good names. Like I wouldn't have thought of Rocky and Atlas, but
Yeah,
now that he mentioned it, that was one of my favorite teams. Tony Atlas
yeah. Rocky
definitely
Johnson
up
and
there.
Tony Atlas, man.
I'd put Tony Atlas definitely at the very, very tippy top of my all-time favorite wrestlers.
Ooh, he throws out another good one. Chris Benoit and Dean Malenko. Yeah, they were a good tag team.
So who's next? Is Jason up next, or did
I
Jason
believe.
already go? It's Buck's turn. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
Buck's turn.
but
Alrighty, I've been saving this. I even wrote it down so I wouldn't forget it. My all-time favorite tag team wrestlers was Ricky Steamboat and Jay Youngblood.
yeah, that was a good one.
Them those guys were just like brothers. They would think just alike. And then we have to go with Road Warriors, Heart Foundation. Uh, there was another one too in there. Well, back in the early days was it the Killer Bees?
Yeah, the Killer Bees, Jumpin' Jim Brunzell and B. Brian Blair.
Yeah, yeah. I seen them guys. They were getting the hell beat out of one of them was, and his partner, the guy was laying down on the floor on the mat. He walked up on the side of the ring and smacked that summage upside the head hard as he could. That summage jumped up, looked at him. He said, "No, not me." Pointed to the other guys. Then he went out there and beat the hell out of them. I like shit like that. And then who else was it? Somebody else. Damn, I should have wrote that one down. I'll come back on the next one
As I
as soon as I
said,
think of it.
Bucket makes kind of a good point that goes back to Jason's original point. It's different, like using the Usos or the Road Warriors or the Rock and Roll Express or the Street Profits, and watching two guys who are together as a tag team, move in the ring together is pretty cool. Where you get Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan are a tag team. Then you get a bunch of Hulk Hogan moves, and then he tags, and you get a bunch of Randy Savage moves, and then he
Hmm.
tags, and then they get a bunch of Hulk Hogan leg drop, and then a Randy Savage elbow, and the match is over. Where you're not getting a lot of that teamwork. You know what I mean?
Yep. Agree completely. Oh, team that I forgot, and I don't know how I forgot them. The Young Bucks. I would put the Young Bucks on the list too, just for uh, tag team chemistry. I mean, bringing brothers and everything, and their moves and everything and whatnot.
And I have one more that everybody on the panel has forgot about: the Briscoe brothers,
Which ones?
Jay and Mark.
Jay and Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can throw Jerry and Jack on there too.
Well, yeah, I ain't going that far back. It hurts my head to go that damn far back.
But yeah, I mean, definitely the Briscoes. And
Uh,
Mark's
I
keeping it going in AEW too, solo right now.
I'd throw out my top favorite wrestling period of all time. Like just retire them when we're talking about wrestling. Road Warriors. Anytime, any category, I can put the Road Warriors at the top. That's going to happen. So obviously, my favorite tag team is the Road Warriors. Uh, I don't remember their name, but when Ron Simmons was tagging up with that other big black dude that kind of
Oh,
looked like
Doom,
him, yeah,
Doom,
dude,
Ron
yeah, yeah,
Simmons and Butch Reed.
yeah. That
Oh
was
shit, man! Another tag team in that same era,
Yeah.
Harlem Heat.
Oh yeah, yeah.
that's with Booker T, right?
Yeah, Booker
Yeah,
T and his
And his
brother
brother.
Stevie Ray.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, the Samoans was a good one. Rock and Roll Express, of course. I respected the Midnight Express because I really liked rooting against them, and it really pissed me off when they won. And looking back at it now, even though I was pissed as a little kid, like in real life, now I'm like, well, at least I was experiencing it and having fun with it, so that was cool. You know,
Shit, I
uh,
just thought of another tag team, FTR.
didn't I don't even know who that is. I've heard those letters. The
They're in
British
AEW.
Bulldog.
Yeah, they were the ones that were just feuding with the Briscoes.
Yeah, yeah, okay, yeah, that's right. I'm trying to think other tag team. There's one that I'm missing. Like it's rolling through my head, but I can't grab a hold of it right now.
Now, Krabby
So
threw out there the British Bulldogs and British Bulldog and Owen Hart.
yeah, the Owen Hart and British Bulldog was pretty decent. Uh,
Y'all can't forget about Sting and Darby Allin.
all right.
Sting and Lex Luger.
Who was Chris Benoit with all the time?
Dean Malenko. Him and Dean
Oh, yeah.
Malenko were tag team off and on.
Oh, them guys were killer.
Hmm.
All right. Feel free once again to mix it up anytime you want. We'll move on. The next thing barbecue's got listed. We'll get to the women's stuff at the end. Uh, and yes, I do have a newfound respect for the women's division because I'm trying to appreciate the time that it's on the television while I'm watching. But we're still not going to cover the women till the end. Uh,
Well, I'll let you have a sneak peek. My favorite woman wrestler of all time is John Cena.
there you go. All right,
I always knew Jason liked chicks with dicks.
Mm-hmm.
barbecue wrote down here, and then we'll get to let's see, we'll go to heels next, but then I'll read this one part. He wrote down favorite singles that I appreciated after I grew up. He wrote Shawn Michaels, which I highly agree with. Sweet Chin Music might be one of my most favorite iconic things about wrestling. Like anybody knows Sweet Chin Music. Uh, Razor Ramon slash Scott Hall. I didn't really
Oh
like
god damn it!
Razor Ramon. Like that kind of creeped me out with him being all greasy and like sexy and stuff.
Yeah,
Eddie
you.
Guerrero, big shout out to Eddie Guerrero for
Yeah.
sure. I've never seen Stone Cold actually wrestle, so I don't know anything about Stone Cold. I'm not reading those words, Rich. I'm sure you can tell the name that I'm not gonna read, and it's not Harley Race. I'm
But
gonna
yeah.
ban when I click off this email. I'm gonna ban barbecue from the YouTube part also.
But
Honorable mention: Dusty Rhodes and or Bret Hart. So very nice list. Anybody want to talk about any of those guys or barbecue? Do you want to talk about any of those guys?
real quick, you mentioned Scott Hall, aka Razor Ramon. I don't know how I forgot these guys on the tag team part, but the Outsiders, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash.
The
Yeah, the outsiders.
skyscrapers.
I'll chime in here real quick, just to set things straight. Okay, this name has been mentioned in brief passing twice so far this evening, and I do apologize for leaving him out of my comments. But you just mentioned Dusty Rhodes twice in just like I said, passing comments, and the man deserves more than just passing comments. I
Mm-hmm.
believe he's earned it.
Yeah,
Yep.
Agreed for sure. Dusty
absolutely.
Rhodes is amazing.
Although one of the names that Kingpin mentioned was actually Dustin Rhodes, because it's not actually Dustin Rhodes on my list.
You're pushing it, barbecue.
I say,
Don't come on a
who
salty
just did that
tangent.
great impression? Hold on, who just did that great
That
impression?
was Jason.
Oh, was it Jason?
Yeah, I believe
That was
so.
terrific.
But yeah.
I'm sorry, but if you look at what Goldust was saddled with to do in the WWF, um, man,
Yeah,
he pulled that off.
he took a gimmick that should have went nowhere and turned it into 20 years of something.
Yeah, I mean, you got the Golden Truth with R-Truth later on, very more recent. But like you look
Him and
at,
Booker T.
yeah, I was gonna say, look at like the first thing that he did was with Razor,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, wow, just the guy sold it. And I mean, credit to Scott Hall too. I mean, if he would not have just went with it, I mean, he could have just killed that whole gimmick for Dustin from the get go. Um, you know, there's that famous scene where Goldust is behind Razor and he runs the fingers up, and Razor just kind of like jumps out of his fucking skin. And there's another one that has always stuck with me. Uh, everybody likes to talk about like when Taker and Brock sat up at the same time, or like when Bray Wyatt's doing his crab walk and Taker sits up. How about when Taker and Goldust sat up at the same time? Like that whole scene right there was just so done, so perfect. What do you think, Kingpin?
Yeah.
Oh,
But
Lord.
Yeah, I do
yeah,
like this list though. As far as my commentary, uh, I didn't. Razor Ramon is really my only experience with Scott Hall. so I can't really talk too much about him. Once again, Stone Cold. I never watched 1 second worth of him actually in a ring doing anything, uh,
Um,
except for
you ever
throwing
see the
people.
Hollywood Blondes
No,
back in WCW early '90s?
no,
I bet you didn't. You just don't remember.
I doubt it. Uh, Dusty Rose, of course. Bret Hart. Bret Hart was something special. You know what I mean? Like he was really good in the ring, and even though he had that pompous, greasy hair and Oakley's sunglasses or whatever he wore, you still really liked him. And Eddie Guerrero, going along with appreciate after I grew up, looking back at Eddie Guerrero's career, it's a quite amazing career. He did a lot of stuff. And
Oh yeah.
Shawn Michaels, of course, like I said, I mentioned Sweet Chin Music. One of the most iconic things about wrestling is Sweet Chin, in my opinion, anyway.
But going to Bret Hart, I've never been a fan of his solo stuff. He bores me. I always found Bret Hart boring, except when he was with the Hart Foundation.
Most of my experience with Bret Hart was as a tag teamer, and then when he was
Oh,
just occasionally doing solo matches.
oh no, I enjoyed his reign as champion, man. And him and Shawn Michaels had some great matches. Uh, yeah, I enjoyed Brett's single stuff, man. I didn't see anything wrong with it myself. Uh,
Let's say, I
you
think,
got you got to admit Bret Hart is one guy like if you brought him out to the middle of the ring right now unannounced and all he did was look at the crowd and wave, he would bring the house down.
How the
He's
hell did I
respected.
forget How the hell did I forget Chris Jericho? Krabby brought up Chris Jericho. Fuck, Rick Rude. There's another one. Rick Rude was
oh my
awesome.
God, yes. Man, that is a
Yeah, Rick
great one I
Rude.
didn't think of.
So you on heels? Is that what you're bringing up?
No, I was just going over what
Or
barbecues list we're gonna go. Did I say Heels was next?
Yeah, Heels was going to be next
well,
after
Yeah,
this one.
well, I
Heels is
don't know.
next.
You counting Rick Rude and Razor Ramon as heels? I mean,
Well, yeah,
that's who I questioned. Yeah.
I forgot that that's what I had listed off next. So go ahead, Jason. You can start us off with the Heels.
Oh, okay. Okay. I thought somebody already did start the heels. Um, believe it or not, it's gonna be that big superstar. My favorite heel of all time is Hulk Hogan. I really liked him and his punk attitude during
Hollywood.
the NWO. Hollywood
Mm-hmm.
Hogan, yeah, not Hulk Hogan, Hollywood Hogan. How the other boys would go out there and beat somebody up, and it'd take four of them to hold somebody's arms back, and then Hogan comes strutting on out like a bitch every week. Get up there and slap you or
Mm-hmm.
something, man. I just, I, I loved it when he was Hollywood Hogan, man. That was just great. He was one of the guys, you didn't hate him at all. You loved the heel, and you just smiled. You know what I mean? I really liked Hogan
Yeah,
in that era right there, man.
yeah,
He's
that
got to
that
be
totally
my top heel.
revitalized his career too. Because if you look, his popularity was waning bad, and then they pulled the trigger and turned him heel when nobody was expecting it, and that just completely revitalized his career right there.
Yeah, I think he's the Hogan did everything in the '80s to make wrestling and spotlight him as a superstar, as the good guy, the All American hero, and man, he just rocketed right to the top as a heel for me, man. Just my personal feelings. Uh, I mean, he could go down as a favorite character, even though he was a heel to me. I really dug the Hollywood Hogan thing, man. Uh, Other heels, the modern day guys, they're all like a tie to me, man. Uh, they really are. But back in the day, the heels to me was always the mean, the big, the tough, the the scary guys. You know what I mean? And there was just a lot of them. So like Hogan is just going to stand out on top to me is the best heel that I remember of all time.
All right, Buck, you're up next, man.
Baldwin too. He was the biggest one back in the day. But some other heels. Oh, let me see here. Hell, my mind just drew a blank. I'm gonna say somebody like Abdullah the Butcher. That motherfucker was nasty,
Mm.
man. And can't forget that little short guy. You scared the shit out of him, Kevin Sullivan.
Hmm.
Somebody used to give me names. That's about all. And the new guys nowadays don't, like Jason said, they just ain't the same. I should say, not like back in the day. There was somebody else too, but I can't think of them.
If I could chime back in and ring a bell, the one I hated the most was the Big Boss Man. I think that was the worst, suckiest, like, waste my time, my precious TV time granted to me as a child. I didn't like the Big Boss Man.
Dude, he almost made my honorable mentions for my all time favorites.
Y'all remember the Mountie?
Yep.
Yep,
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't stand that son of a bitch.
the go to jail match, 91 SummerSlam. Oh my god! And then when the Mountie gets taken to jail, and they cut to him down at the county lockup, and what, 2 or 3 guys come up behind him, they're like, "Hey," and he starts screaming because he's about to get raped. Are we allowed to say that on
You just did.
shows now? I think we're just supposed to say the R word now. Sorry, Rich, I just got you a strike.
Oh man, I just thought
Actually, no, I'm not sorry. Because if Squib heard me say sorry, he'd be like, "Don't say sorry. It shows it's a sign of weakness."
Yeah,
So
don't
yeah, no, not
apologize,
sorry.
mister. It's a sign
Enjoy
of
your
weakness.
strike.
But I just thought of another tag team. The Long Riders. Wild Bill and was it Scott Irwin, his cousin?
Oh, I thought we were talking female tag teams.
No, but they had a hell of a feud in the AWA with the Road Warriors back in the
Oh
mid
shit!
'80s.
Well, man,
Nobody's
honorable mention Bill and Randy. Bill and Randy.
Great.
nobody said the Smoking Guns for tag teams either. Billy and Bart,
Oh,
like holy shit.
Well, New
I
Age
remember my
Outlaws.
other tag team.
Go ahead, Buck. What were you saying?
I remember my other tag team is the Rock and Sock Connection. Those dudes were entertaining.
Did you guys ever see the match? It was on like Atlanta Wrestling, Georgia Championship Wrestling, where they just had like the ring with like 3 rows of bleachers on 2 sides and like 5 people, and they just spaced them out. Remember those days? Do you
Yeah.
remember the match where Bill and Randy Malky won?
Oh yeah, against the Gladiators.
Oh my god.
They hyped up the Gladiators, these two masked guys that were supposed to be these great champions from Australia. That was done to throw a bone to the crowd because the crowd was always so behind the Malky brothers. So they decided, you know what, we're going to give the fans what they want. We're going to have the Malkies win. So they brought in these 2 guys from outside the NWA who were they were big guys in whatever federation they were in. I forget which one it was. Put masks on them and had them do the job for the Malkies. That happened on Saturday night, 6:05 on the Superstation, and the crowd in the studio went nuts when the Malkies won.
The whole handful of them.
Yeah, you got what, like maybe 200 people at tops in that studio?
Well, there's another great story regarding the Mulkey brothers that Jim Cornette tells. and I cannot remember the team that went up against them, but they're in the Mulkey Brothers' hometown. So, again, 200 people, maybe 300 if you're lucky. But it's a small town. Half of them were related to the Mulkeys, and they ended up doing a fucking swerve on them, and the place just started fucking rioting. I was like, oh my god, this sounds incredible. People were, oh man,
Well,
and that's going back to what Buck said earlier. Like heels today, they don't have that fear factor that they did back in the day, and I think part of that is just the realism that wrestling had back in the day.
well, that and people
You
know
can
that for the
tell
most
they're
part
reading
it's all
from a
scripted
script.
now.
Yeah, you can
Well, there's
tell they're
that issue
reading
too
from.
now.
Yeah.
Um, but
You want to talk about Riot? Top of my list for heels, the original lineup of the Four Horsemen.
Yeah,
They
they're
they
good in anything.
they were afraid that they were going to die the night they broke Dusty Rhodes' leg in the cage.
I forgot about that. Oh my god, yeah.
Arn said if it wasn't for the Atlanta police, they probably would not be breathing today. That
I mean,
crowd was about to riot and kill them.
if you think
Well,
about it, the last time that there was going to be even close to a riot would have been uh, the Outsiders invading WCW.
Yeah,
People,
the night when Hogan turned on Savage. Look at all this
yep,
shit people were throwing at him.
yeah. I
Like
mean,
you, you go back and you watch the clips from that cage match where Flair turns on Dusty, who Dusty was there to help him against the Russians. And then the other four horsemen come out and they break Dusty's leg. There were people from the crowd trying to climb to get into the cage to get at the four horsemen.
Started the 10-year war.
I think one of the problems that and Buck and Jason and everybody's been pretty much right on the money with it, as the character, the bad guy character now, like MJF, is just a dude that's being mean verbally. Nobody's really afraid of MJF because he's not scary looking. He don't talk scary. He just talks like a jerk. Uh, Roman Reigns, as big and strong and powerful as the real human being Roman Reigns is, and how badly he beat most men to pieces, nobody's afraid of Roman Reigns because he's not scary. Blackjack Mulligan, if you're old enough, like Jason, Buck, Rich, I'm not too sure how old Barbecue is, but you guys are probably all old enough to know one of them type of cowboys down the street that had tobacco flying out of his mouth every time he cussed you out for walking through his yard or scaring his horse or something like that. So you could believe, like, that's just a real dude that's in here wrestling. An Arn Anderson looks like a regular dude that you'd see standing at the bus stop that would just be happy to punch you in the face at any point in time. Uh, Finn Balor looks like a cartoon character in real life. He's a big, muscular, defined guy who wears purple and flies all around. Nobody's afraid of Finn Balor. Nobody. Damian Priest, huge, athletic, super powerful human being, but nobody's scared of Damian Priest.
Krabby's mentioned some good ones out there, man. His latest, Paul Orndorff, Mr. Wonderful, or what
Oh
was his
yeah, I
name?
forgot about
Yeah,
him.
Mr.
Yeah.
Wonderful Paul Orndorff, yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and his other comment up there, list some people. I kind of forgot about. I didn't know I could include Vince McMahon.
Yeah, the
But
Vince McMahon character, Mr. McMahon,
but that
from the
brings
Attitude
me up
Era.
to like Kingpin. You still got to go through your heels, right?
Yeah.
Okay, once you guys and who else? I don't know. Once we get through the heels, I got a new subject to throw in there, man. Your
Um,
favorite feud.
Oh,
I
that's
want
hard.
to. I thought about making that on my list, and I was just like, you know what, my list is long enough, and I, I was already late for the show, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to send this, but just going to say another name that we have not mentioned that really should have been Harley Race.
Damn, barbecue. Is this like hate me day or
Kingpin hates Harley Race.
Really, I did not know that.
only reason I hate Harley Race is I got 800 questions wrong and every one the answer was Harley Race. Now, barbecue, I mean, I don't know how long everybody wants to hang out for tonight. I mean, I got to work tomorrow, but I got a semi late morning. But barbecue's list is, we could cut it and do it in two shows. I mean, it's a
At
pretty good
least.
yeah.
Yeah, we can do that. I mean, I can.
Uh,
I can't do the show next week. I'm not going to be here. We're going to be out of town. So next week
eight,
there's not going to be a show. We could do it in 2 weeks.
well, I'll just save the email. Uh, AEW is going to be in Baltimore on Wednesday, and SmackDown is going to be in Washington, D.C. on Friday.
Hmm.
Krabby says NWO as a group is his favorite heel. Rowdy, I guess that would be Rowdy Piper. Jesse the Body Ventura, that's one I wouldn't think about.
Yeah, you got to put a asterisk next to the NWO because it's got to be NWO at the start. Because by the time you
Yes.
hit 98 and 99, they were half of the roster of WCW was in the NWO at that point.
Mm-hmm.
He probably, I'm sure I mean, Krabby's a seasoned wrestling fan, so I'm sure he means that. Robbie the Brain Heenan, a very excellent choice. Vince McMahon, excellent choice. Iron Sheik, a good one. Mean Bob Backlund, that's one that I'm sure
Yeah,
wouldn't get
Bob
me.
Oh,
Backlund was
didn't even
another
think about
one.
Yeah.
Bob.
That's
Yeah, that was
really
another one that caught people off guard when they turned Bob Backlund heel. Nobody was expecting that because Bob Backlund was always the clean image, nice boy next door guy, and then when he came back to wrestling, they turned him heel.
Ted DiBiase is an excellent one. Paul Orndorff, Jason brought that one up off Krabby's list is a really good one for a bad guy. And then, Kamala Harris is the worst
Yeah,
of all. Unless we're talking about the late, great
he's talking about
Kamala
both. He
Harris.
says then and now. He's talking about both of them.
Well, rest in peace to the real, true Kamala Harris. And then screw that thing that lives in Washington, D.C.
I'll
My
say it.
favorite heel,
I'll
Jim.
say it. Rest in peace to both of them.
Yeah, there we go. Jim Cornette is an excellent heel. Uh,
I
I'll just
never
stick with
could stand him.
I'll just put Jim Cornette out there, and I agree to everybody else's heel list pretty good. So
Well,
mine that hasn't been mentioned yet, I think, is Jim Cornette.
well, if we're gonna go with managers too, got to throw Paul Heyman out there. When Johnny,
Frick.
yeah, Johnny Dangerously or
Yep.
whatever, whatnot back in the old day when that
Oh
was
no,
his
Paul E. Dangerously.
Paulie Dangerously. Yeah, Johnny Dangerously was a Michael Keaton movie.
You bargain asshole.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Paulie Dangerously. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta watch my mouth, Krabby. I forgot. Sorry about that. Good call. All right, let's see. Does anybody else have any other heels that they want to talk about as far as wrestlers? I'll read Barbecue's full list. It was Hollywood Hulk Hogan, Mark Henry, which
Put HOP next to that
yeah,
for his Hall of Fame run.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He mentioned Vince McMahon, The Outsiders, Edge. He mentioned, and then he mentioned Jericho and MJF.
Yeah. Jeez. Harlem Heat when they were heels. Let's see.
Is that when Booker T dropped the N word
No, that was
at
actually
Hogan?
I think that was when Hogan had first joined the NWO actually.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
I couldn't
yeah,
remember exactly when that was.
yeah. Krabby mentioned the Dungeon of Doom earlier. Yeah, you got to throw them in his heels. Um,
What about
there's
a very entertaining heel, Buff Bagwell?
well, he was in NWO, so he'd already be listed.
Yeah, but we already said we were going to limit NWO to just the original three.
Well, no, I didn't say original three. I said like the
I'll be back.
origin because Buff was one of the first ones to join.
Oh, I thought we were just going
And
with the original three, so
and
that's my
don't
bad.
forget Brutus Beefcake.
Yeah, I just throwing out honorable mentions in there. Buff was pretty funny to watch and had some ring antics, you would say.
Mm-hmm.
I always
Tag,
liked his physique. He had a good physique.
yeah, a tag team that should have held the NWO tag team NWO WCW tag team championship at some point, but because they were in the same stable as the Outsiders, uh, Buff Bagwell and Scott Norton.
Yep.
That Scott Norton was a
I forgot about him.
monster tree trunk dude, man. That
Uh
dude
huh.
was
Former
packed.
power lifter.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I'm gonna go with stables. Gary Hart's stable, as even though it had a rotating door in WCCW, man, he had some all-time great wrestlers go through his stable, including the aforementioned Great Muta that Kingpin mentioned.
Yeah, he was good. So was Kevin Sullivan.
Mm-hmm.
He
Okay.
had a lot of people go through his too.
Well, when you use the word, sorry, I'm eating pizza right now. When you use the word stable, would that be the same thing as a faction?
Yeah, same thing. They're
Yes.
Okay.
interchangeable.
Well, okay. Let's take a pause real quick and let's go to uh, favorite factions of all time and barbecues list. NWO, Evolution, the Four Horsemen, the Hart Foundation, the Wyatt family, and then Right to Censor. That's
That's an
barbecues list.
interesting one.
Feel free to open up to the factions now.
Yeah, from the Attitude Era, right? The Censor would not be the one I would think of.
There's a reason I picked them. That's because those guys got heat, and it's because they're people are like, oh, we're gonna get to see something here, and then they come out and throw up the little black bar, and that friggin' uh, chick that looked like she needed fucking laid. Who the hell was that? Because I cannot remember. Wasn't
Uh,
Victoria, was it?
no, it wasn't Victoria.
I
It
didn't think
was.
so. I can't remember to save my life though.
I can't think of her. I'm seeing her face. I can't remember her fucking name.
But
Who is she?
um,
What'd she do?
Was that Ivory?
yeah, yeah, it was Ivory. That's right. Um, but I mean, they got some heat,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't for any reason that you would really think of. It's just they're like, oh, we're going to do this. I mean, I think that was right in the midst of China doing Playboy and stuff. I mean,
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Because if you remember, Sable will be taking her clothes off, and Right to Censor will be coming out and like trying to throw a robe over.
yep,
They were the good guys if you stop and think about it, but because everybody was such degenerates that were watching the show, they were getting booed as the heels.
exactly. Like I said, like you don't think about it, but I mean, that was a good faction when you look at the annex. Like in ring work, like Steven Richards, I mean, he is what he is. But when you look at the body of work that they were doing overall, like I can appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Kirby mentioned Jimmy Valiant and going
Oh, the
back to
Valiant brothers. They're all three of them out there.
favorite heel, Greg the Hammer Valentine.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
yes.
Valentine was good. Yeah.
I saw him in person, man, in a little small event. He was the headliner, believe it or not, at our local little county fair coliseum, and he took the guy up into the crowd, beat on him there, marched him all through the building, beat him up, and took him outside and beat his head in on the flagpole outside of our building. And
Christ.
half the crowd got up and ran, followed him right when he went out the doors. And I remember my quote at the time was, "Man, I ain't seen people run that fast since my bachelor party."
Yeah. But we were talking about older people wrestling when we were talking about Sting and Muda and that earlier. Fucking Jimmy Valiant was just wrestling not that long ago. He's older than both of them.
The Boogie Woogie Man?
Yeah. He was just on the NWA
That,
not that long ago.
that dude had to been on something. 'Cause that dude crazy as shit up in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
He's on Swamp People on the History Channel, ain't he? Or Moonshiners? Ain't he on the Moonshiner show?
I don't know.
But I did enjoy watching him wrestle anytime he was out there.
Oh, him and that feud he had with Paul Jones back in the 80s.
Did the
Oh
Boogie Man
man, I
always
forgot
wear
about
them
Paul
striped?
Jones.
Did he wear them striped
Uh-huh.
wrestling pants all the time? Yeah.
Uh-huh. That was after he turned face. Back in the 70s, he was one of the biggest heel wrestlers around.
Man, I forgot all about Paul Jones. I used to watch him wrestle all the time too. That somebody turned out to be pretty evil. Heel. Right after he stopped wrestling, he had his little groupies and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Remember Big John Studd?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're on factions now, right?
Oh, faction. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
bring
asking
up any,
Kingpin. That's what we're doing, factions.
yeah, we're on factions, but bring up anybody that you want, Jason, because I hadn't thought about Big John Studd yet. He's another really good one. King Kong Bundy.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Well, shit, man. You want to bring up Stud and King Kong Bundy? Just throw in the whole Heenan family, and there's a
I
faction
like the
too.
one man gang.
Yeah.
He was good.
I'll
Bam
I'll
Bam
just
Bigelow.
I'll throw out my faction out there, or my family at the time, man. It's pretty simple. It's the top two. It's the NWO and it's the Four Horsemen. I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
But yeah, factions got to be it. Four Horsemen, NWO at the top. Degeneration X,
yeah, I'll give
Evolution.
Degeneration X. I was just about ready to do the X right here and go suck it. That's my honorable mention right there.
Mm-hmm. The Heenan family, that I already mentioned. Gary Hart's family that I had mentioned. I think that's what he called his too over in WCCW. Christ. I can't remember any major factions in the AWA. I'm sure there. Oh, Skandar Akbar's crew.
What about the Clintons?
They got more bodies than all of them.
The
Uh-huh.
bushes. The bushes. Stay out of the bushes.
I know they're relatively new, but I'm going to throw the Bloodline in there. I mean, the Bloodline is a great faction they got going right
Speaking of the Clintons in the bloodline, another one of Bill Clinton's associates just killed himself with a rope around his neck and a gunshot wound, but there was no gun to be found.
now. Uh-huh.
Allegedly.
Yeah, we had one hang himself up here with a $8 Dollar General electrical cord.
Yeah, and since we're not limiting this to any particular faction, Bullet Club. Look at some of the names that were in Bullet Club over the years.
Now the best one was the Four Horsemen, NWO, Generation X, and the Hart Foundation. After that, you can cut all the rest of them out.
Bullet Club's had some really good wrestlers over the years. Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, AJ Styles, Finn Balor, I mean, there's been some good wrestlers that have been in the Bullet Club.
Honorable
Everything but
mention to
Triple
the
H is a
Triad.
heel.
Well, the Click wasn't really a faction. That was a behind the scenes thing. They never, except for the end of it when Razor and Kevin Nash and Scott Hall were leaving when they did the curtain call. That was all behind the scenes. So I don't know if that really qualifies as a faction. Especially since you had what was it, Scott Hall and Shawn Michaels, or was it Shawn Michaels and Kevin Nash were feuding against Triple H and Razor. Or was that the other way around? Fuck, I don't remember. But the two of them were feuding against another two of them in that group. So I don't know if I would consider that to be an actual faction so much, because they weren't an on-screen faction. Now you can say that much at least.
Well, this kind of segues because you've mentioned the factions, and factions usually come from feuds. And Jason said he wanted to talk about feuds, so why don't we just start rolling right into favorite all-time feuds, whether it be factions or tag teams, or everybody against Vince McMahon is fine.
Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada.
Not very familiar with that one.
I know you
Sorry.
guys don't watch Japan, the
Yeah.
Japanese stuff. So. But Savage versus Steamboat. Flair versus Steamboat.
I'd have to go with Savage versus Steamboat.
Yeah.
I mean, Flair versus Steamboat, incredible also, but I'm more of a Savage fan, I guess.
Piper versus Valentine. Hogan versus Piper. Hogan versus the Heenan family. The Four Horsemen against everybody. The NWO against everybody.
All right, I'll bring it up since it was my idea for the thing. It's just because it jumped out at me off of Krabby's list. In my mind, this is a clear winner. Out of all the good feuds, out of all the hard work these gentlemen put into entertaining us night after night, in my lifetime, this is my opinion, yours can vary, but my favorite feud of all time, most entertaining, was Stone Cold versus Vince McMahon.
Yeah, he always has some good ones.
I mean, we talked earlier about the ref getting took out by Brock Lesnar. Everybody loves it when the ref gets took out, man. Everybody loves it when Vince gets stomped, man. And that went on for a long time, man. I mean, how many times? I mean, I can't get enough of it to seeing Stone Cold put the stunner on Vince in the middle of the ring and Vince flopping, and Stone Cold pouring beer on him, or Stone Cold driving a monster truck over his limo, or beating him up. And then my favorite one time is Stone Cold beat up Vince so bad they put him in an ambulance, and they rushed Vince off to the hospital, and the cameras go with him and everything, and Vince is like strapped down to the gurney, and the doctor comes in with the mask on, and the thing and everything, and it's Stone Cold again.
Yeah, he whacks Vince with the bedpan.
Yeah, Vince looks up and he's like, Austin, and he rips it down. Well, it ain't Dr. Seuss. He starts beating on him and shit right there. I mean, those are good, man. But Stone Cold always popping a beer on Vince, jumping down on the ground and yelling in his face after he knocked him out or whatever. I mean, that was a good feud. As I remember it, like I said, I think it went on for a while. I mean, it wasn't just like leading up to a couple pay-per-views like between two wrestlers and then they move on to a new storyline. I mean, Vince and Stone Cold went at it forever, man.
Yeah. Oh, I got another one going back to the 80s. Jake the Snake Roberts versus Rick Rude. Remember when Rude would come out to the ring with Snake's wife air sprayed on his tights?
Yeah.
I do remember that. He put the dude's wife airbrushed on his shit. Yeah, the ravishing one.
Uh-huh.
Remember he'd like grab a girl at the audience and like kiss her
Uh-huh.
until she like fainted, laid her down on the mat and shit.
Yep.
Krabby brings up Jimmy Snuka and Roddy Piper, Sergeant Slaughter versus Iron Sheik.
Iron
And
Sheik and
Yeah.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
That was good.
one that I
Until
was
they got
Slaughter and
busted
Sheik.
smoking pot in the rental car.
one that I remember is Nikita Koloff and Magnum TA.
Oh, yeah. That best of 7 series between the two of them for the U.S. title. That was right before Magnum had his car accident. That was the summer before that. And it was because of that feud that when Magnum did have the car accident, they had Nikita come to Dusty's aid against the Four Horsemen.
All right, and let's see, we got singles of all times, tag teams of all times. Appreciate. You guys want to talk about managers for a little bit? Barbecue's got Jim Cornette, Bobby Heenan, Jimmy Hart, Miss Elizabeth, Paul Bearer, and Sensational Sherry on his list.
Okay, real quick before we get into that, write down Krabby's category out there, Kingpin, on your list. Because he's got a good one.
Right on. All right,
Hey, I got another suggestion for a topic.
go ahead.
Out of anybody all time, this is one you only. This is tough. This is one you only get one choice. If you had the ability to meet and speak with any wrestler, who would it be?
I already did it.
Oh, okay.
Rich lives next door to CM Punk.
No, I don't. I do not live in Chicago.
It's his landlord.
All right, who's yours, Jason?
Oh, wrestler to meet of all time? Oh, I thought we was putting this down for like next week or something.
Well, it's only one answer. We can do that this real quick.
No.
Okay, well, as I put it, I would think like you'd have more than just stand there and get a selfie.
No, you get to hang
you get
out.
to talk to him for
Yeah, you
just
get to hang out.
whatever. It's I've mentioned it plenty of times tonight. I think it'd be the guy who would be, I feel, most respected. For myself, I respect. I think it would have to be Bret Hart.
What
Well, you
about
go
you,
to
Bob?
Calgary and you can go to his restaurant and bar, Jason, and hang out with him.
Yeah, and he's got like 12 kids or something. I'm sure one of them girls is single.
If I had to pick with one, I believe Mick Foley can tell you some good stories. I might have to pick him.
For all of mankind, that's a good choice, Buck.
What about you, Barbecue? He's not paying attention. He fell asleep. The dogs were barking.
Watch
Go
him.
ahead.
He might say Harley Race.
Go
He'll
ahead.
say
Rich.
CM Punk. What do you mean? Or Dustin Rhodes.
Who's your list, Rich?
Oh, I already did it. It's Savage.
Randy Savage.
Yeah.
Let's see, who would?
Solid.
I actually did get to hang out with Savage. So
What wrestler of all time would I like to hang out with the most? Man, that's a really good question. Krabby said Mr. McMahon. Uh, Hulk from the Road Warriors would be a good one.
Mr. McMahon might be able to get you laid. I don't know that.
Yeah, I have to keep thinking about that one because that's a really good question. But I throw out Hulk from the Road Warriors first. And if barbecue hops back on, then he can just pop in whenever he wants. Uh,
So, well,
all right,
what we're gonna
instead of doing managers, you want to do Krabby's topic right now?
we could do that, or
I'm
we
back,
can wait.
fellas. Sorry.
Okay.
All right, there you go. All right, if you had one wrestler, whether it be now, all time, just any wrestler of all your entire wrestling experience that you could meet and hang out with for an hour or two and just sit around and casually have a conversation with, who would it be? You only get to pick one.
That is an amazing question. I'm gonna have to go where my mind immediately went, and that's the Undertaker. I really want to say Macho Man Randy Savage, but I'm gonna have to go with the Undertaker.
That's a good choice.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid choice.
Yeah, Undertaker. You can spend time at the range.
Yeah.
Yep.
Krabby's throwing another category out there. He says best rotund wrestlers. Yeah, he's a nice way of saying fat guys.
Oh, I was trying to think there was more than Barry Rotunda. I was,
Yeah, I was thinking.
I was thinking was there
Mike,
more?
Bo, Bray.
My favorite's Barry, I guess.
Well, Barry is a Wyndham. He's not a Rotunda.
I'm gonna go with Husky Harris. No, I'm not.
Husky Harris, yeah.
Let's do let's jump into Krabby's list instead of doing the managers because
Which one?
we've all kind of talked about our favorite managers a little bit so far. He says the favorite celebrity and wrestler teams, matchups, or moments.
Oh.
Okay, Rich, you don't have to mention all your Jake Paul favorites. Jake Paul and CM Punk in a
Well,
battle.
Jake Paul hasn't actually wrestled yet. That'll be Logan Paul. But no, that's not mine. It's Bad Bunny and Damian Priest from WrestleMania.
That was pretty terrible.
What is this category again? I'm sorry.
Celebrity and wrestler team ups.
Oh, all right.
Now you can pick your favorites
Matches or moments. It doesn't have to necessarily be a match.
Favorite. So it can either be a match or it can be just a time where a celebrity was on the screen cussing somebody out. However it goes, when they mix the celebrities in.
Oh, another one. Another good one I just thought of. Chris Jericho and Bob Barker.
I didn't get to see that one.
That was a good one.
Didn't Floyd Mayweather beat Undertaker?
No, it's Big Show. Broke Big Show's orbital bone.
Legitimately broke it.
He actually hit him too hard and broke his bone. Wow.
Well, I think the Big Show had actually told him to, and like because Big Show didn't think he was gonna crack his face or anything, but like Big Show didn't want to have to sell for a little guy like that for a fake punch, but he's like, no, we need to make this look real. He's like, fucking clock me. And Mayweather did. And that reaction from Big Show, 100% shoot.
Wait a second. Hold up. Wait a minute. A conscious thinking human being told Floyd Mayweather to take a free shot at him?
Yep.
Yeah, but the
Big Show even got down on his knees for Mayweather to do it.
Yep. Yeah, Big Show's
I was going to say he got down on his knees.
Yeah, dude, but your face, your face can only handle so much. I get it.
But it'd be like punching a grizzly bear.
The worst part about throwing a punch is what happens to your hand. Hitting somebody
exactly.
with this does more damage to the hand than it does the face.
Well, he was wearing boxing gloves, too.
But
Hmm.
to consciously just sit there and let Floyd Mayweather
Uh-huh.
take a free shot at you, no.
I thought
Uh-huh.
Mayweather was bare knuckle when he
No, he had
boxed a
boxing
Big
glove
Show
on.
in that promo.
No, he had
Yeah,
boxing gloves on.
yeah, I doubt
Oh,
that because Floyd Mayweather's a multi-billionaire. He's not going to break his hand, for a television show.
but yeah, that pissed off giant that you saw that was 100% shoot. After that, oh my god,
The
I'll
only
tell
thing I
you.
can remember
Go ahead,
was
bud.
was shit Stone Cold had I think it was NWO out there and had Mike Tyson out there with him,
Oh,
DX.
that was DX. Yeah.
DX,
But
Yeah.
that's
and
actually where
then
I was going to go was Austin and Tyson. That was a great one.
yeah,
Uh, I'm gonna go with one. I don't know if it was a great one or the worst ever. Mr. T. Remember when
Okay.
he came out with Piper and Hogan and all them?
Yeah.
He gave up. Like, did he do it twice, 2 years in a row on
Yeah. Because the
WrestleMania?
first time he was teaming with Hogan, and then the second time he challenged Piper to a boxing match.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. But like when they did the wrestling one, I remember Mr. T giving a pretty lame performance. You know what I mean? He definitely wasn't a professional wrestler. So
Mm-hmm.
I just remember that was a big disappointing letdown. I thought Mr. T was going to whoop some ass. You know.
did he come out there as Mr. T or Clubber Lane or whatever the hell his name was?
Mr. T. He came out as
Mr.
Mr. T.
T.
He came
It
at
was
Mr. T.
that got set up because he was a guest referee, and whoever he was refereeing against, I think, attacked him after the match.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that's how that whole thing started.
Another fun one. Bobby Lashley with Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm. With against Umaga and Mr. McMahon.
Yep,
Yep. Yeah, Mr.
in
McMahon
a
got his
hair
head
match.
shaved. Yeah.
I'm not familiar with that. I'm going to go find that on YouTube and watch that.
Is that where the classic meme came from with Donald Trump spearing the CNN logo?
Oh,
Like Donald
maybe.
Trump got over on that, right? Like he ended up winning and kicking butt and all that. Like through that whole the deal when he was in wrestling, he ended up winning, right?
Krabby's asking when wrestling started mixing in celebrities with it. I don't
Oh
know,
man,
but
Rock,
they've been doing it for a while. Because I remember you had
that was going back in the '80s.
no before that.
Rock,
Because
That's
you
what I'm
had
saying. That's just as
yeah.
far back as I can remember.
Well, because you had remember you had Muhammad Ali versus
Oh
Gorilla
shit, yeah.
Monsoon and Antonio Inoki at various points. So it's been a while.
I'm sorry to hop off subject. If you just bear with me a moment, because it's funny and I keep thinking of it. Since we were talking about Trump, I don't know what you called it back then. Remember like the jib jab videos where they'd
Mm-hmm.
make like a cartoon and put somebody's head on it, like
Mm-hmm.
you know. I remember one where they took Rocky when he was fighting the Russian, and they put Donald Trump's head on Rocky, and the Russian's head, they replaced it with the CNN News logo, and it just had Trump punching and beating the hell out of him, knocking him all across the ring and everything. That was funnier than hell. If you could go find that, that is funny to watch.
I remember Trump and Vince McMahon had a hair versus hair match.
Yeah, that was the one we were just talking about. The
Yeah,
match was actually Bobby Lashley versus Umaga. Donald Trump was acting as Lashley's manager for the match, and Mr. McMahon was acting as Umaga's. And whichever wrestler won, their manager got their head shaved. Lashley
Well,
won,
really, what
so
happened
Vince got his head
was
shaved.
uh, you had two rich white guys that decided to make a friendly wager, and they're like, well, we're not going to actually fight this out ourselves. So one rich white guy found the biggest black guy that he could find, and then another rich white guy found the biggest Pacific Islander he could find, and they're like, fight to the death.
Well, the two of them were already feuding, 'cause if you remember, that was a feud over the
Yeah.
Intercontinental Championship.
I just like the way I broke it down. It sounded funnier.
But yeah, go look for the Chris Jericho and Bob Barker one too. That was pretty funny. Bob Barker was basically doing the bit that he did in the Waterboy with Jericho in the place of not Waterboy, Happy Gilmore.
The Waterboy and Happy Gilmore should not be put in the same.
I'm with Kingpin there. I really do enjoy the Waterboy, but it is not on the same level as Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, but at some point in Adam Sandler movies, all start bleeding together.
Yeah.
Can we just forget Spanglish ever happened?
I already had until you
Yeah,
mentioned it.
yeah.
Thanks.
Bringing it up.
You're welcome.
Okay.
And
Damn,
Click.
man.
Can we forget about Click also?
Yeah, Click was pretty bad too.
You on a damn roll tonight there, Guns.
Yeah, really, Barbecue. What the hell's wrong with you tonight?
Uh,
Well, we kind of got through. Speaking of his role in his list, because he had all-time singles, tag teams, uh, people I appreciate when I grew up. We've kind of talked about managers throughout the night. We talked about factions. We talked about heels. We kind of talked about baby faces like throughout the whole thing, mentioning people. But we could also go back and highlight that for people who stood out. And then favorite announcers, Gorilla Monsoon, Vince McMahon, Pat McAfee, Randy
Best announced
Orton.
team. Best announced teams: Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan.
He put JR and then he
Yeah.
also put Bobby Heenan. I go Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan, and then the top of everybody is old school, Tony Schiavone.
Oh, Tony Schiavone and Bobby Heenan on Nitro.
I've just never been big on Tony Schiavone. I don't know why. I try to be open-minded about him. He just doesn't make the cut for me, and it bothers me because I know he
you
should.
can't forget Mean Gene. You got to have him in there.
Yeah,
Well,
but
no.
he was a backstage
Yeah,
personality.
he was an interviewer. But if you want to go Tony Schiavone, we can also do the current Dynamite team of Tony Schiavone, Taz, and Excalibur.
But see, I think that's where Barbecue's argument becomes extremely valid because the new Tony Schiavone is kind of soft. And he's he's real flighty. Like when he's standing next to a wrestler that threatens him,
Mm-hmm.
he like jumps out of his shirt. And he's like, "Oh my gosh!" When the guy just goes boo. Where back in the day, Tony Schiavone would be like, "Oh, don't mess with me."
Yeah, but my point is that out of today's announced team, that's probably the best one. I mean, you got Corey Graves and Michael Cole. They're not that bad. But that new guy that they got, that Irish guy on Raw, I could do without him. He's got to go.
No, he's on SmackDown. No,
Michael
the
Cole
Irish
and
guy.
Pat
The Irish
McAfee.
guy's on
the
Raw.
Friday Night Show.
The Friday night show is Michael Cole and Corey Graves. Or is it? No. Corey Graves is on Monday with the Irish guy.
Yeah, Corey Graves is on the Monday show, and he's all right.
Well, he does the pay-per-views with Michael Cole.
Yeah, but that new British guy sucks.
Yeah, that Irish guy. He sounds like he's having an asthma attack every fucking match. Yeah, Krabby says
Jerry
Jesse the
Lawler
Body
was
Ventura.
Gorilla Monsoon, hands down.
Yeah, Gorilla Monsoon with either Jesse the Body or
With anybody.
Bobby Heenan. Vince McMahon back in the day with Jesse Ventura was a good team too.
Yep.
And so was Savage and McMahon when Savage was hurt and he was doing commentary.
Are you sitting down, Rich?
I think Savage was number 4 on my list.
Just want to make sure everybody's got their earbuds taken out. Krabby says, "What about the original King as an announcer?"
Yeah, no, thank you. Jerry Lawler is not I've never been a fan of Jerry Lawler on the announce desk.
Very one-dimensional. especially during the Attitude Era, because
During the Attitude Era, he was a freaking pervert of the month.
exactly. That's why I said one dimensional. So you had
Uh-huh.
JR doing all this great commentary, and then you just hear puppies.
Uh-huh.
Whoever the dude that had the stroke is the one I hate the most.
That's Lawler. And it was
No,
a heart
No,
attack.
Jim Ross.
JR.
No,
No,
not
Lawler just
J-
had a stroke.
Jim Ross.
Lawler
JR
just had a
has
stroke.
Bell's palsy.
Yeah, JR
that,
hasn't had a stroke. Lawler just had a stroke. Just had a stroke. We were just talking about it.
yeah,
What was it,
no,
last weekend?
not that guy, not Jerry Lawler, the other guy, Jim Ross.
Jim
That's-
Jim
Ross. Yeah,
Ross.
With the black cowboy hat.
Yeah,
yeah.
he's
He hasn't had a stroke. He has Bell's palsy, which is a totally separate issue.
have a stroke next time.
It's like a stroke for your mouth.
I
don't
always
know.
liked him in the younger days.
When he was younger,
Jim
yeah, he
Ross
wasn't
when he was
that bad. But the older he gets, the worse he gets because he forgets wrestlers' names. He forgets fucking names of moves. It's like, Jim, retire already, man. You're done.
But
Stone Cold
I
turned
still
on him
appreciate.
and he cried. A grown man. He cried.
Oh yeah, wouldn't you cry if Stone Cold turned on you?
Oh, for God's sake, man! You were talking about grown men crying. Did you see the episode of AEW Dynamite when fucking CM Punk made his debut? Fucking grown men in the audience crying. It was like, what the fuck is with these pussies?
Oh, I believe it.
And
Believe it
everybody
100%.
everybody knows out here that Rich had a little tear in his eye too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, God, no.
Krabby mentioned Gordon Soley, Mike Tenney.
Mike Tenay.
Yeah,
I was never a
but
fan of Mike Tenay. He would get annoying as hell.
I still appreciate JR's commentary, and the reason being is like with some of the shit that they do on AEW, like you can just listen to JR, and you can basically, if you listen to the inflections in his voice, you're like, what the fuck is going on here right now? Like, this makes no fucking sense.
That's one of the reasons the older
I
JR
know-
gets, the less I like him as an announcer.
I know his job as an announcer is to sell the show, but cause that's just been one of my complaints about AEW is some of the shit they do. There's just no fucking sense to it, and I mean these guys are gonna have short careers just because of the shit they're doing. Which I mean, hey, if they make enough money and they squirrel it away and all that, and they're fine with being in a wheelchair by the time they're 50, then fucking go for it,
They're
But
not doing anything that they haven't been doing for decades in Mexico, and those guys live a long time down there in Mexico.
The one I remember that I hated so damn much was Coach.
Coachman, Jonathan.
oh, he's
Coachman.
just annoying as
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah. Oh, little weasel.
Maybe we should do a list of commentators we hate.
Another one I couldn't stand, Mauro Ranallo. I could not stand that guy.
Who was that one?
He was on NXT and briefly on SmackDown. He quit because he threw a temper tantrum because JBL told a joke about him.
I was just gonna
Said he
say,
was being bullied.
how did we not mention JBL yet?
Yeah, he was
Because
good.
JBL
Yeah.
does play a good heel on the
Mhm.
commentary. Wait, speaking of heels, shit. Oh my god, friggin'
You ever-
feuds, JBL and Eddie Guerrero. Oh my, that
You ever
damn bull
watch-
rope match.
Ever watch Fox's Sunday morning financial coverage? JBL's on was anyway, was on one of those financial shows on there. The dude is extremely intelligent when it comes to financial shit.
Oh yeah,
I don't like him.
that is so well timed, Jason.
Hey, well, what the hell was the name of JBL and Ron Simmons when they were together?
The APA,
The APA.
Acolytes Protection
Yeah.
Agency.
Yeah.
Before that, they were the Acolytes as part of the Ministry of Darkness.
Holy smokes! I liked him before he got into the WWE, like when he was with the other TV shows. After he got into the WWE, I kind of stopped watching it and then never got back into it. So I get it. He's a Hall of Famer and everybody really loves him. This mushmouth, brain dead reject cannot talk for more than 2 seconds straight without saying something screwed up. Booker
I'm
T.
sorry, Kingpin.
It's
Oh,
actually
Booker T on the announce desk for NXT. Who's this guy? He literally says this. One wrestler just coming out to the ring, he says, "Who's this guy?"
oh my goodness! Like you can't, you can never understand anything he's saying.
Hey man, shucky ducky
Excuse-
quack quack.
excuse me, stewardess. I speak jive.
Shit. No, dude. I used to
No,
have.
he just talks utter nonsense. It's not even jive.
I had the little airplane, the jive talk on the airplane movie memorized when I was a kid, because that was one of the funniest things that we'd ever heard. Was that whole movie was great.
Oh fuck, Mrs. Cleaver from Leave It to Beaver getting up translating jive. I mean, that right there is just freaking hilarious as all hell.
I wish that
Yeah.
was jive. Booker T. It's almost like he's either. You need Nancy Pelosi to be able to. Nancy would have to be there about 3 glasses of wine deep
Translator.
Yeah.
to
Dude,
translate.
all you gotta know about Booker T is his catchphrase literally is "shucky ducky quack quack."
But that's old school,
I
like
thought it was
black
5 times.
black exploitation stuff like that. So that's
5 times. 5 times.
a lot of people
5 times.
think the shucky ducky quack quack that's like old school. Like
It's annoying, is what it is. And then when he does it during the pay-per-view things, they always throw up this picture of a rubber ducky.
well, yeah, but that's because the 19-year-old college student standing there has no idea what that means.
Mm. Krabby Ether says, "Oh my God!" Yeah, Joey Styles. Joey Styles though was old school. He was with ECW before he was with WWE. That was his. Anytime something went majorly wrong in ECW, oh my God!
All right, I got one for you. Something I can do without, and I wish never had become a thing, is the stupid X over top of your crotch with the thrust.
Well, that goes to DX. That was
Suck
a
it.
DX.
Yeah.
Dude, I hate that so much. Like, if somebody did that to me in real life, my goodness.
Well, this just goes to prove how much Kingpin really does like Shawn Michaels, because Shawn Michaels does it over his belly button.
Oh man, I can't stand it when that's like the dumbest thing ever.
Well,
Man,
that was
I saw
DX taunting people. Is what that was.
I saw so many young kids and my friends and family in early life. So many young kids that just loved that, running around doing that, man. When that was happening back in the day, a whole generation of degenerates, man. A whole bunch of youngins. They just loved Shawn Michaels and that shit.
I used to watch like my nephew and his friends do the John Cena "You can't see me" hand in front of your face,
Oh God.
and my brother's children, his second oldest, came up to me one day. We were playing basketball, and he made a shot. But I was covering him. I'm just a foot taller than him, so I could have blocked the shot, but I let him take the shot, and he made it. And he came running up to me and did the whole "you can't see me" thing. And apparently, I'm the first like older person that he had ever done that to. So while he was shaking his hand in front of his face, I smacked his wrist, and he slapped himself right in the face.
Years ago, I'm trying to think how long this was. Anyways, the trailer park that my cousins lived in, one of the kids that would always try and hang out with us. I mean, he was a nice kid and all, but every once in a while he'd get a little annoying and shit. And he did the John Cena. He would always do it. Like, you can't see me. Like, he just wanted to be John Cena. And the one day my cousin just punched him in the face. Well, punched him in the hand, which punched him in the face. And the kid starts crying and shit, and he's like, "What the fuck did you do that for?" My cousin's like, "I couldn't see you." I almost struck my fucking bike when he said that. I just doubled over laughing over the handlebars.
Keep my wife's name out your mouth.
Keep everybody's dicks out of your wife's mouth. Would have been the perfect comeback for that.
I, I don't know. I sent it to a bunch of people. The dude that I used to work with found a video of it, and it said, "Keep fucking my wife's mouth."
Uh,
But it's pretty much that's all through barbecues list. Like I said, I mean, we didn't talk about baby faces, but we kind of talked about baby faces throughout the whole thing with the heels and all that kind of stuff. So it's up to you, Rich. It's 10:40 right now, so whatever you want to do.
Yeah, you and Jason got to get up for work in the morning. So
Yeah, we got
if
some
you
real Americans here.
yeah, if you guys want to call it a night, we can call it a night. I got no problem with that.
All right, I'll throw out another homework assignment for the next time. Uh, every once in a while, if you want to, we could do like a segment. We don't have to talk the whole show about it, but most of you guys mentioned Randy Savage and Jake the Snake or whatever. If you want to like highlight, our favorite Randy Savage show, our favorite Jimmy Snuka show, we can do.
Yeah, Ellis and I actually did that a couple years ago when he was doing the show, and we did a Ric Flair one. I think that was on his channel.
What I would like to do is a very unofficial bracket with unofficial as in no stupid bracket. We'll just talk about it. Uh, but I want to go through the title belt rankings again, do all the different TV shows, and I'll pull up all the pictures of the different title belts and we'll rank the ones that we like the most.
Man,
Well,
I
yeah, we can't
still
do any brackets on a Rich White show. We all know how that ends. Something will get, or something will win about that Rich doesn't think should win, so he'll bring in reinforcements like 2 rounds later and go back and fix it and just rig the whole thing like a Dominion voting machine.
yeah, it's
Probably,
rigged. Like semifinal matchups end up being slotted in the first round.
Krabby dropped a link for some Will Smith comedy out there on Instagram. And then he said, let's do a part two. Technically, we could do a part two because pretty much we talked about all time wrestlers. And we didn't cover the females at all. That's the one category we didn't cover.
yeah,
And
we didn't even get to favorite current wrestlers. So.
yeah, we got the whole current roster, which basically the female roster. If you're not going to say the Great Muda or Wendy Richter, then
Great Mood as
even,
a woman?
even Trish Stratus, not Great Muda, the Fabulous Moolah.
Fabulous Moolah.
Yeah.
Missy Hyatt.
Missy Hyatt wasn't a wrestler, though. She was a manager.
If you want to go all the way back to Trish Stratus and people like that, I would just consider all the females modern wrestlers.
Sonny's on my list.
Let's be realistic.
Not anymore.
We're
Yeah,
not
not anymore.
And I think Krabby had one more out there too. The Rotund Wrestler.
Yeah,
the
big
Rotundras.
fat guys, yeah.
That's simple. Yokozuna.
Andre.
Bundy.
Bronson Reed.
Oh, yeah.
That dude's crazy. Van
Vader.
Vader.
Jeff Cobb.
Big Van Vader.
Butterbean.
Dusty
Butterbean's a
Rhodes.
boxer, not a wrestler.
Dusty Rhodes is a big fat guy.
Yeah, Dusty was a big guy.
Kevin Owens.
Yeah, Kevin's not. Yeah, he's not skinny.
The dipshit that was a Viking Raider. And I can't think of his name right now. Otis.
No, Otis isn't a Viking Raider. Otis was
Otis
in
is-
Heavy
Otis
Machinery.
is the damn.
Oh, yeah, Heavy
drunk
Machinery. I'm sorry.
But you do got the guy in Viking Raiders. I just can't remember which one he is. Is he Eric or Ivar? I can't remember.
Otis is an elevator company.
Midian.
Keith Lee.
I think we're just naming off fat guys at this point.
Well, Keith Lee's a fat guy that can move around in the ring too.
Typhoon and Monsoon.
Yeah, if you think about it, unless you go back to the 80s, like the early 80s, maybe late 70s, you've really the fat guys are pretty slim pickings unless you're talking about Earthquake and Typhoon, King Kong
Abdullah the
Bundy,
Butcher.
Abdul the Butcher, Kamala, the Uganda Giant. Because
Bundy.
now there's really not many. Like you pick Kevin Owens, and he's a big
I
dude,
wouldn't
but I
call
don't know
him.
if he's really fat.
You know
Call
what?
him just thick.
You know what's at fault for that, right?
Solid.
Compared to Austin Theory, he's a fat guy.
Mm-hmm.
The whole problem is Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the guy that tried to put together his own bodybuilding league.
Mm-hmm. Which is what he originally had signed Lex Luger for.
Yeah.
But KO, if you think about it, he's just an average guy as far as his build's concerned.
We had much different milk back then.
Yeah, it didn't have steroids.
Terry Gordy was another big guy.
Yeah, he was, wasn't he?
Yeah. Stan Hansen. Christ, some of the matches over in Japan between Terry Gordy and Stan Hansen, Terry Gordy and Vader, or Vader and Stan Hansen, ooh, they were brutal. We talked about it before. Stan Hansen lariated Vader so hard he popped his eye out of socket.
While Samoans were kind of fat guys, and those dudes were good.
Yeah. Well, Umaga and Rosie weren't little guys.
Who was the dude that would smash you with his butt in your face?
Oh, Rikishi, the Usos' dad. And speaking of the Usos, Solo Sikoa's not a little guy either. Their younger brother.
That butt smash to the face, man, has got to be the most humiliating, worst finishing move thing of all time, man.
Yeah.
That's
No.
Is it any worse than the Bronco Buster?
I hate snakes, and I'd rather have Jake the Snake put a snake on me than that.
Yeah, but
dude's butt in
let's
my
think
face.
about it for a minute, though. Is it any worse than the Bronco Buster?
I would rather have the Bronco Buster put on me.
You would rather have somebody put their dick in your face?
Oh no, I'm talking about the female rat.
How do you do that timestamp thing?
So how you ever hear about when X-Pac did the Bronco Buster? Was it in Japan, Rich? And he split his vein open all the way to
and his scrotum. He tore his scrotum and his anus.
Nearly friggin' bled to death.
Uh-huh.
Damn.
Krabby mentions another one of Rich's favorites and one of my dad's least favorite people, Tyrus.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Tyrus? The, what's that belt he carries around?
Somebody better call your mama.
He's got the NWA World Heavyweight title right now.
NWA World Heavyweight title.
Dang, I had a good one on the top of my head and I forgot who it was. I got distracted by Tyrus. Dang, I had a. Oh, there's plenty of stuff to think about. Let's go to bed.
Okay. So, all right. So, Jason, you got anything you want to plug or anything before we get out of here?
No, man. Great show, though. Great show, man. Thanks for letting me be part of it, man.
Yeah, no problem. What about you, Kingpin?
Oh yeah, man! I got videos and Patreon. I wrote a 24-page book because Krabby bought Barricade Garage's 23-page book, and then you can do all kinds of other stuff. So make sure you watch my latest video, and you'll get all the details.
Oh, God, Krabby throws Mabel out there. Mabel slash Viscera.
Oh my God, how would you forget him? Holy cow!
Oh, he was a complete total dick in real life.
Oh, he's not talking about Mabel Young.
No.
You know, something else we didn't say, Mark Henry. I mean, granted,
Yeah.
Mark was built like a brick shithouse, being as strong as he was, but he was still a big fucking dude.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he's lost a lot of weight.
Yes, yes.
Hell, Big Show.
Well, he was what, 550 at one point.
Yeah.
That's when they sent him down to OVW. They're like, nope, lose it or we'll lose you.
Right. What about you, Buck? Anything you want to say before we get out of here?
I got one video out. I finally put one out. Might put another one out later on tonight. But just thanks for the invite, and should have had a great time tonight, y'all. Great chat.
What about you, Barbecue?
Just like to let everybody out there know that if you're wondering, my gosh, how did they come up with all these things? That entire list I made in like the last 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes of listening to G's 23 show before I jumped in here, which, by the way, Kingpin, thank you so much, because while I was distracted making that list, I heard G23 mention about nurses shaving his pubic regions and stuff, and I was like, thank God I'm fucking paying attention to making this list for Kingpin and doing my homework the way I'm supposed to. So, but yeah, that giant list, and because Kingpin only outlined a few categories, thought of it in about 20 minutes, just going on a spur of the moment. So you too could participate very easily. But I'd like to throw out another idea for a future show, perhaps one where we all go and find the best shoot interview story that we can. And we come back. I don't think we'll be able to share them on air because, you know, copyright strikes. I mean, granted, it's Rich's channel, so you know, he can make the rules on that. But you know, even if we just want to kind of recount the story, I think that'd be kind of neat.
Translating that into English, what is it? What did you just say? You want to what? What?
All right, so there's these things called shoot interviews. So
a shoot interview is actual real life, something that happens in real life, not according to script.
Well, the interview is happening in real life, but they're saying that these are true stories that happened while we were on the road, in the ring, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. I think my favorite is still the one where Chris Jericho is doing his podcast back when he was in WWE on the network, and his guest was John Cena, and they talk about the night where John Cena played marriage counselor, and Chris Jericho got so drunk that Cena had to carry him back to his hotel room.
Okay, so well, Rich doesn't have to join us on that night. So
I didn't finish the whole story. There's a lot more to it than that.
Let's see. We got Jason, we got Barbecue, we got Buck. So you're going to hear me next, Rich.
Well, I'm just going to say bye. Have a good night, and we will catch y'all later. And here, listen to Savage being Savage.
You guys are probably really scared right now, and I understand that completely. But I get the better of the deal, and even though it's 3 versus 2, you guys are outnumbered because we're better than you guys. Yeah, we are. We're legends in our own mind compared to you guys. Even though you guys got the egos, we have got the wrestling skill. And this guy right here